Marco. Marco. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, you stupid fucking asshole. Marco.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go. Yeehaw, it's bull wrangling time. Thumbs up the team.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I come to you today with much anticipated, amazing, new news. I come to you as well with new emojis in the chat for members to use. I also come to you today with the exciting news that we will be adding yet another new emoji in the chat to use once you get a look at the face we have all been waiting very eagerly to see. I'm just going to get right into it. A few days ago, well, a little bit of background here. As some of you may know, if you've watched my stream for a long time, there is two gentlemen. Their names are Scott Johnson and Peter Mingles. Scott Johnson is the voice that you might recognize from such drops as
Thumbs up the team. Let's go. I gotta get the bag.
And Peter Mingles you may recognize in equally bad quality from the same show with quotes like
Balls. Marco. Marco. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, you stupid fucking asshole. Come on, Marco. Fuck him.
These two have dedicated their radio show, Building Fortunes Radio, to talking shit about me for almost every Saturday for the past 2 years. And we know what Peter Mingles looks like. There's actually pictures of him out there. But we never knew what Scott Johnson looked like. Nobody had even the faintest clue. The most exposure that Scott Johnson ever had prior to going on my channel was on a live stream on the channel of another anti-MLM creator, Savvy Writes Books. On this stream from 2 years ago, Scott and Savvy debate. And as you can see just by this still image here, Scott does not have a camera on and nobody knows what he looks like. If you went and watched this video on Savvy's channel, I recommend it. Shout out to Savvy. There are countless people in the chat who tell their who tell their stories of Scott Johnson attacking them online. If you search the name Scott Johnson Amway, if you search the word Scott Johnson Amway on Google, you will come across forums that have banned Scott Johnson and released memos about Scott Johnson because of his incessant cyberbullying that he has perpetrated upon countless people. You can look under the comments of almost any anti-MLM creator. Granted, you could before most of them rightfully blocked Scott Johnson, and you would see his comments telling them how stupid they are, much like he says about me, how stupid they are, how uninformed they are, how they need to go on his radio show. I have a whole stream on my channel that you can watch called, I believe it's called The Origin of the Beef. It's right here. Where is it? Marco and versus Scott Johnson and Peter Mingles, the beginning. I streamed this 2 years ago after receiving an email from Scott Johnson inviting me to be on their radio show. Once I saw the radio show actually had no listenership and was terribly produced, terrible audio quality, and no video on top of it, I respectfully declined. Scott wouldn't take no for an answer, and this has led to where we are at now, which is every Saturday, basically, I react to their show, Building Fortunes Radio, where they talk about me. Now, I will tell you, through what I knew about Scott Johnson, I knew that he lived in Texas. He goes by Tex, Scott Tex Johnson. He talks about this all the time. This is his Facebook page. He loves talking about it. And that was all I really knew. He claimed to be in the Navy. He said that he lives in Plano, Texas. And so I found a company on Facebook, Solve It Green AC. And for a long time, I thought that the gentleman in this image on the right was Scott Johnson. I thought that this old man here was Scott Johnson. The area code matched for the number that I had for him. It appeared to be in the same sort of maintenance industry that Scott was in. It's ran by a man named Scott. As you can see, Scott at Solvit Green AC. I believe that I was wrong. I don't think that this man is the Scott Johnson we were looking for, although I thought that it was. Since then, I've had several other people reach out to me and say, I think I found Scott. I think this is him. I think this is him. And every resource I check, unfortunately, I don't think it actually is him. Until now, I received an email, and I'm not going to say who I got the email from. I'm going to keep that information private. But I got a message. It started out as a message on Instagram. And this person said they have some information for me about Scott Johnson. They'd like to send it to me in an email. So I gave my email. And in the email, I'm going to leave out the information that might be revelatory to their identity. They said, let's see. You put out a challenge a few weeks ago. This is what they said in the email. You put out a challenge a few weeks ago, and I was adamant that I was going to find a photo of Scott Johnson. During one of your shows, Scott talked about his wife going to the hospital, I think, in parentheses. And I thought I heard the name Denise. That would be correct. Recently on an episode of Building Fortunes Radio, Scott mentioned the name of his wife for the first time that I recall, Denise. In quotation marks, this person who sent me the email writes the name Denise, spelled D-E-N-I-S-E, the way most people would think to spell Denise. They go on to say, that search didn't lead me anywhere. Yesterday, I came across a Denise Johnson spelled Da-Nice, D-A-N-I-C-E, and it opened up a new avenue. I've included links to the pages if you want to verify things for yourself. I believe you have Scott's phone number, so you might be able to cross-reference the numbers provided in these links. Now, I do have Scott Johnson's number because he gave me his phone number back 2 years ago in that initial email exchange. So the first two links come from LinkedIn. Now, I don't have LinkedIn, so I couldn't actually look at these links. But they said they looked at the LinkedIn page, which confirms it was the right Scott Johnson. They then say, I looked up Johnson Enterprises and found an address for the business. It is located in a residential area, and I found it online. So they send me a link to that. That link is I'm not going to show this page because that would be doxing. That page with this business profile shows the name Scott Johnson. It also shows the phone number that I have for Scott Johnson. So far it's lining up. It also includes an address in Texas, in Plano, Texas, and this is the same address that I knew he lived at from one of my previous researchers who wasn't able to get a picture of him, but was able to send me the address long ago. So I looked it up. It's the same address. So the name lines up, the phone number lines up, the city lines up, and the address lines up. They go on to say, they send me another link actually, and this is the Google Maps link view of the house. I've seen the house before. And they said, I then found this fella on the same street. The link provided me with some quick facts. See link. You can see the link. And the names of 3 other people who live at the same address. His wife and 2 sons. And it includes the sons' names. This is information I didn't know before. A second source was also found. The street address matches Johnson Enterprises. I had my Denise. So then they send me a link, and this is a different profile from a different mapping site or perhaps rental site. And it says Scott E. Johnson, same number, same address, but it has a little bio about the person. And it says that the address has 4 residents. And it names 2 young men, both in their early 30s, which lines up with Scott's age and his claims that he has 2 sons, as well as Denise, spelled D-A-N-I-C-E. The phone number is also the same. The address is also the same. And so far, everything is lining up. Then they send me a link to another page. This is a similar sort of renter site, it looks like, but this time for Denise. And it has a little bio about her too. Once again, all the information lines up. Now, I'm not going to say the names of his sons because he himself didn't say those. I'm only repeating what he himself said. That way I can't be accused of doxing him or anything. So once this Denise was found, the next thing that this person did to help me find a picture of Scott, by the way, thumbs up the ting.
Thumbs up the ting.
Only half. Actually, there's like 100 of you that haven't clicked like. So they send me a Facebook page. The Facebook page is for Denise Johnson, spelled da nice. On the Facebook page of Denise Johnson, one of the public images you can see is from March, and it's a family photo commemorating the passing away of Denise's mom, which would be Scott Johnson's mother-in-law. I don't know exactly which episode it was, but earlier this year on an episode of Building Fortunes Radio, Scott Johnson talked about his mother-in-law passing away. So we have our Denise. We know everything lines up, the address, the phone number, the two sons, and now we have even further confirmation that this is we're looking on the right path because a mother-in-law has passed away in March, which would be this year. From there, the person who sent me the email says to me, I checked her profile and I didn't find anything with Scott in it. No mention of any Scott. Her mother passed away in March and I found the obituary that confirmed she's married to a Scott, which means that what she's saying is Denise. Denise confirms. The obituary confirms that Denise is married to Scott. So what did she do from here? Naturally, the investigator said, I then checked, because, you can see, you can see on sometimes people's Facebook pages, depending on their security settings, you can see who they are friends with. So, thumbs up the ting. We're at 200 viewers. So, the investigator looks at Denise's friends on Facebook, finds... Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. The investigator says, I checked Denise's profile and photos, didn't find anything with Scott. I also checked his son's pages, and I also found no photos. Then I checked close families as well as Denise's brother, also named Scott, and there were 2 photos of interest. The first photo is not super clear, so I put them through a photo enhancing app, and I'll include both before and after. We know that Scott's birthday is February 22nd. I've included the Facebook message that accompanied the photo. So what they've sent me now is a screenshot of the picture taken from Denise's brother. So Denise is Scott Johnson's wife. Scott Johnson's wife, Denise, has a brother also named Scott. So her brother is named Scott, and she married a Scott. On this picture from Scott the brother's Facebook, there's a picture of him and another gentleman, a selfie. And he says, Scott squared, implying that they're both named Scott. In the comments, mind you, this is the date that this was posted was February 22. In the comments, one of the comments says, Happy birthday, Scott J. Scott Johnson. Denise replies, his B-day is February 22nd. So this photo was posted actually around that date. Then there's another photo, also from this Facebook, this brother-in-law Scott's Facebook, taken at Scott Johnson's son's wedding in 2017. From left to right, we see Scott Johnson, his daughter-in-law, his son, his wife, and his other son. This is a family photo that you would take at a wedding. So this is the photo of like the bride with the groom and his family. So I'm certain now that we're on the right track. It's lining up. I now have faces. So it's the same Denise Johnson. The two sons are the appropriate age. The mother-in-law has passed away. It's correct. And we have our guy. So I'm going to show you the pictures. And, oh, also there's one more detail that confirms it. So, you know, Scott Johnson talks about being in the Navy. He talks about, all this amazing work he did being in the Navy. You also know that his nickname is Tex, Scott Tex Johnson. Well, it turns out that the ship he was stationed on, where he talks about working with very hot water, was called the USS Texas. We found pictures from the USS Texas, like pictures of the people who were on the crew that graduated or whatever, and we thought that one of them was Scott. I don't think that that one was Scott. If you're in my Discord, you know about this. But on the brother-in-law, Scott's Facebook page, he posted pictures of the ship, which would be another link, which would add another link to, you know, my belief that this is Scott Johnson. My guess is Scott Johnson met his brother-in-law, Scott, his future brother-in-law, Scott, while they were both stationed on this boat, and it is through him that he ended up meeting his wife. Everything lines up. The only one thing that makes me say that I'm not 100% sure, the reason I would say I'm 99% sure is because I don't actually have a video of this person talking with sound where I can confirm that it is him. But based on everything else, all the information we have, the address, the Facebook, the phone number, the two sons, the wife, the brother-in-law, the USS Texas, based on that, I absolutely believe that the person in these pictures is Scott Johnson. And if it's not Scott Johnson, then I apologize to this man that I'm about to show. I have this picture open in tab 1, and I'm opening the other picture in this tab. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. He's actually more handsome than I expected. I'm not going to lie. This is Scott Johnson. This man right here is the face, I believe, behind.
I got to get the bag.
Do you like me?
Yeehaw, it's bull wrangling time.
This is the picture, the selfie taken by the brother-in-law. This has been enhanced, so it's a bit clearer. Also, another thing that lines up is Scott always claims to be 6'5". The gentleman in these pictures, this gentleman here, is very tall. He towers over everybody in the wedding photo, and he towers over his brother-in-law here. The brother-in-law is to the right. He's been cropped out. All right, the other picture, and this is the cropped picture from the wedding. I say he's more handsome, but also I have to consider that this is him at his best, you know, at a wedding and at, like, looks like some sort of church function. This is the other picture. So I think we're all in agreement this is the same guy, you know, no dispute about that. Here he is here. This is enhanced as well. And, yeah, here he is. This is him. Scott Johnson. This is, he's on the left. To the right, if I was to expand this, you would see his daughter-in-law, his son, his wife, and his other son. I have never been more confident that the person we have been seeking as Scott Johnson is this. And also, this was made. A little Brokeback Mountain edit of Scott Johnson and Peter Mingles as cowboys now that we have images of both of them. So, the investigation...
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeehaw, it's bull wrangling time.
I'm looking at your comments. My heart is pounding. The horror. I don't believe it. Look, that tracks. Look at my man's. It's exactly what I thought he would look like. The voice is so Scott, and that face. He does not look as old as he sounds. This is exactly what I imagined. Wow. Yep, looks like his voice. Wow, A. Louise Mac, no way. The 20 gifteds. Wow, thank you, A. Louise Mac. That's incredible. The whole chat's going to be green. Marco, would you? That's not what I expected. OMG, no way. He looks so nice. A generic white guy with gray hair. Who would have guessed? That's a bull wrangler if I ever saw one. Zoom in, enhance. Everybody's Republican dad. Yeah. Obviously, you know, we weren't able to find a picture of him. We found a picture of that one guy at the Trump rally who we thought was Scott Johnson because he talked about meeting the My Pillow guy. But I don't think that that was him because that guy wasn't tall enough. And I thought, well, maybe he's just lying about his height. But it was Scott who gave me the final key. It was Scott, by saying his wife's name, Denise, that we had our answer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Building Fortunes Radio because they should be live right now. It's Saturday, right? Yeah, they should be live right now, or they should have just finished. So probably they didn't. Usually there's a bit of an overlap. I'm live at the same time as them. So sometimes Scott will comment live about what I'm doing on my stream. But if they're already finished, then he wouldn't have done that. So I'm curious, though, about what their most recent episode was about. I'm sure it was about me, but y'all saying, wow, he looks like a Scott Johnson. Fuck, that's so him. Scammers always look like scammers. That little smirk, do you like me? Yeah. Yeah, I just believe it has to be him. The fact that he's been so elusive in photos, we haven't been able to find anything, and none of his family members, none of his immediate family members have pictures with him. It's only his brother-in-law that had pictures with him. I mean, I believe it is him. And bro, if that's not worth a thumbs up the ting, I don't know what is. There's 227 people watching, but only 143 likes. So come on, let's like the ting. Otherwise, we're going to end up in goon court. Republican Zaddy, skincare on point. Keep in mind, these images have been smoothed out using AI. So, like photo enhancing AI, that is. All right, let's see. Their most recent episode was 1 hour ago. Okay, it's not live anymore. And it's called Stop the Amway Tool Scam. Scott Johnson and Peter Mingles with Pro MLM guest. Can't wait to see who the guest is. Maybe there is no guest. Sometimes they have that there's a guest and there actually is no guest. So expect to see this in a thumbnail in the future. And you know I will also be wearing my hat too. This is a screenshot right here. There you go. So that's the investigation. If you guys have anything else, or if you want to dispute that, or if you think there's something wrong with that, or that it's not him, please let me know. But I absolutely believe, more than I've ever believed, that that man is Scott Johnson, the gentleman behind Losing Fortunes Radio, who is a coward, who has hidden his face for years while talking shit on the internet to young women, no less, majority. You know, young women and me, and just being a bully online, you know. So finally, we got him. A. Louise Mac, thank you for the gifted memberships, and congratulations to all the people who got them. Emmanuel, Woe, Kara or Kara, Star, congrats Star, KL Seville, Concrete Evidence, Jen Chi, The Shocker T, Emily W, congrats Emily, Frank Drebin, who else? Coridna, Carolyn Entz, Babe Wake Up, New Marco emote just dropped. Yep. The Sunken Place emote you can use in the chat now. Devious, congrats, you got a membership. Larson, Blazed Goddess, CJE Badass, Toby A, Chucklehead. We're going to have to wait, unfortunately, either until next Saturday, or maybe they'll do another bonus episode on Monday and they'll talk about me again. And we'll see if Scott confirms or not. You know what? He might even just glaze past it to stop from admitting it. But we know now, Scott. We know. All right. Who's texting me? Okay. Appreciate you. Thank you again, A. Louise Mac. That's amazing, those gifted memberships. He looks like what he sounds like, says Len Lenz. It's him. Look at his face. No shot that guy hasn't told someone speaking a foreign language to speak English yet. He looks like Biff. Yeah, he does. He does look like a Biff. Thank you for the gifted Benjamin. Appreciate you. Should I call them? They don't answer. Wow, they finished Okay. I'm reading your guys' comments right now. Thumbs up the stream, y'all. The difference between the tool scam and my... Okay, thanks, Peter Mingles. Peter Mingles, you updated the wrong profile picture. You put Scott Johnson. So, we now know. And I wonder, hey, Denise, do you know what your husband is up to online? Do you know that your husband is online calling young women... Responsibility. Thank you, Benjamin. Do you know that your husband is online calling young women who make YouTube videos cunts and bitches because they disagree with him about Amway? Actually, they haven't even got a chance to disagree. He just goes in calling people idiots and all manner of rude things because he claims to be the authority on Amway. I can't imagine what it was like, what it's like living with him. So, yeah. Poor guy only takes photos during forced events like weddings. Hey, you know? Do you think Peter knows what he looks like? Well, he does now. Weren't they getting one of those insurance guys you debated? Oh, maybe. The difference between the... Okay, stop Peter Mingles. I'm timing out Peter Mingles, actually. I don't like that. Spamming. Silica says, I will never have a sleepless night ever again, right? I've never shipped a couple as hard as Peter and Scott. All right. Let me see something here. All right. Scott watching this right now, crying, throwing up because his identity has been discovered. Yeah. All right. How much you want to bet he will deny it no matter what? Yeah. Keep his address secret. People will get their pitchforks out for all the anonymous bullying he's done. I agree. Benjamin, thank you for the gifted. And congrats, Daniel Vass, for getting the gifted membership. Peter Mingles, wow, copy-pasting a message is the best. Copy-pasting a message in my chat that wasn't even that slapping is the perfect way to get banned, TBH. Memorial Day Monday. Oh, yeah, damn, they probably won't do it. Saturday, call and leave a voice message. All right, I will. And then we'll react to their most recent episode. We good with that? All right. Let them know we know. He's watching right now, so she probably does know. That's why she has no pictures with him. Great point. Brokeback Radio. That's why they did a radio show. That's a face only a mother can love. All right, here we go. In case y'all wanted to look again, there's the wedding photo. Mind you, the original was a bit blurrier than this because this has been zoomed in. So this is actually like, you can see a bit of the distortion around his face, this blur. It's making him look smoother and better than the original image. Same with this one. I don't know if you can see the little, like, very small dots. That's from the AI software, like, smoothing him out. Look at his neck. Look at his neck and his, see here, his neck and his, like, tie. You could tell it's, like, been smoothed out just so we can get better visual because this was also a bit blurry. So, yeah. I believe we got him. I absolutely believe we got him. Meek says, he looks like the typical Amway distributor, Lamau, the guy who tried to prospect me, looked the exact same. All right, let me call him. Calls. Here we go. Calling Scott Johnson. It rings forever, so we might have to let it ring. Scott, I know you're watching, so maybe you should answer this. Maybe I'll get in. Maybe I'll get in touch with Denise to let her know. Let's see.
Please leave your message for 97.
Oop, almost doxed him. He's not answering. That's going straight to voicemail. He's declining it. So let me call Peter Mingles. I know he's watching right now. Normally it rings for longer. I'll put the bingo link in the chat for y'all. It's ringing. And I'm adding a little button here on my chat.
Hello, this is Peter, and thank you for calling. Chances are, if you're receiving this message, I'm here, just on the other line. So since you called, you probably want to leave me a message. Leave me a quick and a detailed message. Repeat your phone number a few times, and I'll call you back. So again, please repeat your phone number 18 times. Leave a quick and a detailed message. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Ming. Question. How come your voicemail says that you'll call me back, but actually you never do? Anyways, I hope you got to catch my stream that I'm doing right now. It's Saturday night. I know it's Memorial Day weekend over there. We don't have that in Canada, I don't think. We had May long weekend last weekend. Anyways, Saturday night, my Saturday night stream, which commenced shortly after your Losing Fortunes radio episode on Saturday ended, I finally revealed Scott Johnson's face. One of my spies finally found his wife's Facebook, which led to finding his brother-in-law's Facebook, which led to finding pictures of Scott at his son's wedding, as well as, I mean, you already know this. You probably are watching the stream as I'm sending you this voicemail live. But did you know what he looked like? And does this change anything regarding you guys having me on your show? You could stream it while I stream it on my channel. You guys can also be live on your thing, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, love you, Ming. Hope you're doing good. Keep scamming. Keep selling those leads. Keep up the good business. Later.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, you stupid fucking asshole.
He never calls me back. All right, well, dude, 230 people watching. Let's go. Thumbs up the ting.
Thumbs up the ting.
100, almost 60 of you guys haven't liked it. God damn. Let me call Scott again. I know, bro, normally it rings. That means I know for a fact Scott declined the call. That's crazy. Well, his phone number is public anyways, if you just look him up. He's posted it on so many different forums and shit. Invite Denise on your radio show, yeah. Yep. He's so shook.
Please leave your message for 9.
Come on. Actually, I will leave a message. I will leave a message. How about that? I'll mute the voicemail. Look, normally it rings 100 times. Now it's immediately going to voicemail.
Please leave your message for
Hey, Scott. It's me. I know you're watching the stream right now. I know you're at the phone right now declining this call. Does Denise know all of the bad boy poo-poo language that comes out of your mouth? Now that I know her Facebook, and I know your son's Facebooks, and I know your daughter-in-law's Facebook, you realize it would only take me one little message, copy and pasted to each of them, to have them come to you and say, Dad, why are you doing all this? Why did this guy, always stupid Marco Narco the Mucha Bear, why did he send me screenshots of your comments on Facebook and YouTube and forums being so nasty to people, calling young women cunts and bitches and everything else because of Amway? Dad, you lost so much money in Amway, $500,000. I thought we left that in the past. Anyways, hope you're doing good. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Would love to be on the show soon. Keep losing fortunes. Keep doing your thing. You look good. Mwah.
Let's go. I gotta get the bag.
Do you like me?
Yeehaw! It's bull wrangling time. Thumbs up the king.
Look, sometimes I feel like a villain, even though I know I'm the good guy. You know? Where's the money? Yeah. Poor Denise. Spell it right. Da-nice. It's like that Key and Peele sketch. D-nice. I would never dox anybody. What up, Cat Benson? We found him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, expect the Scott Johnson emoji in the chat soon, and expect this Scott and Peter romantic one in the chat soon too. There's so many options now, like for thumbnails and stuff, now that I have pics of both their faces. Before I could just use Peter, and I didn't really feel that was fair. So we got him. We got him. One last little look-see-poo here. Scott Johnson. I don't know why, but I can picture this being the guy, you know? We don't know for sure, but I can picture this being the guy. So I think it is. The height matches up. The brother-in-law matches up. The brother-in-law's Facebook pictures indicate that he was on the USS Texas. The wife's name is Denise. That lines up. Denise's mom passed away in March. Scott talked about that on the show. That lines up. The address with 2 sons. That lines up. Everything lines up. So I believe this is him. And, you know, it's been a long time in the making. So I can't wait to see. I hope I didn't just inadvertently end Building Fortunes Radio for good. I hope they don't stop the show now because of this. But, you know. If Scott had been black, I would have passed out, says Danny. Hilarious. Yeah, no, I'm not going to bother the family. I'm sure that's why he hasn't been showing his face. You thought they'd look older with more crust? Well, consider those are enhanced images. If you go look at Peter Mingles on YouTube, he has some pictures where he does not look good. LOL, you search Peter Mingles, it's like all me. So funny. Let's see. Here's one of Peter. This is from 11 years ago, though, mind you. And I think the video itself is actually even older than that. But, all right.
Kind of interesting, my first impression of an MLM. I was introduced to it after already being successful in a direct sales profession. So we were always interested in making sure we made the maximum amount of money we possibly could. And my goal was to always hire, train, motivate, and develop.
Crazy how different they sound when it's not through that terrible sounding, you know, audio.
Marco.
Sounds so different.
So when the company actually added, the direct sales company I was with, actually added a network marketing compensation plan, it made absolute and perfect sense for me. See, my focus in generating profits for that company was to increase the sales, manage the expenses, and whatever was left we shared. So when I saw the opportunity to increase my sales force by having every single salesperson, actually every single person in my company have an opportunity to actually recruit people, so I knew they were good people finders, but I knew they would not necessarily be good trainers. So what I loved about it was the system.
So the picture that I have of him is like very old. It's very flattering because he's younger and he looks better.
We already had in place fit perfectly for the idea that people can bring people to the system and we'd be able to train them. So the new guy...
Peter is 60 and Scott is 64. So if this was 11 years ago, he would have been 49.
Really didn't have anything to worry about except for inviting people in. I thought that made perfect sense. So instead of just one person, myself, the branch manager, hiring in that office, or maybe my assistant managers, which might be 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how big I grew that branch, we could have 50 or 100 or 200 people actually bringing talented people. So we're all in front of people. We're in the people business. It just made absolute...
See who else is on this. Oh, there's more with Peter Mingles. Ooh.
If you're a member of the ANMP, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't attend the meeting.
Damn. Crazy. I haven't even seen that one before. I should have figured there were other ones on the channel, but... so mild-mannered and professional, bud. Why so different? LOL. No kidding. I have a dream that a photo will surface with them together, right? What is... Hello, y'all saying poor Denise in the chat? So funny. Was Scott supposed to be black? No, I don't think. I don't think so. He never implied that. All right, let's see. Marco in his villain era. Okay, I'm catching up with y'all. Crazy how a video from 11 years ago has better audio than his current present-day 2023 show. Sounds like a real microphone. Phone call audio is on brand for BFR, yeah. His voice still sounds feminine. Hey, you can't say that. He's a tough New York guy. Don't you know that? You know. He looks great in this. I know. Janie, appreciate you. Got home and said, bye, husband. Gotta go. Marco's on live. I love that. That's amazing. Appreciate you, Janie. He's also putting his professional microphone, his professional voice on, not his fuck yeah, mini-inch winky voice. Let's listen to that mini-inch winky again.
Winky. You're a little mini-inch winky.
Wow. Wow. Hard to recognize his voice without the radio fry. All right, let me bring this over here, and we will continue on with this. Bring in the chat over here. Call me back, Scott. Scott's going to make me call him again, bro. I feel bad for Scott's kids. They're probably decent people. I agree. Alan Haskell rocking the anti-pyramid tee. Appreciate that. AlwaysMarcoMerch.com if you want to scoop that. Link is in the chat. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. All right. All right, here we go. Let's continue. Oh, anyways, there was another more recent video of Peter Mingles from a Zoom call, I think. I'm trying to find that one. Is it this? I think it's this. Network leads?
People that wanted to do well but weren't doing very well.
That sounds more like it. Where's your face? I think he shows his face. It's in a video on this channel, Network Leads. This is one of his other YouTubes. He has one that's like a Zoom. Look at this. Look at this.
Or need to recognize that the prospect was probably doing something else first. So you have to break their preoccupation. Think about you walking the right kind of predictable pattern when you teach the guy the right ice.
Oh, not Peter's face with the animated mouth moving.
He breaks the ice. He has some cool conversation with people. They go to the website if that's what they're doing, and he sponsors more people. That's called good. If what you're doing is...
Who do I respect more? Great question. Joey K says, no tough New York guy has ever said they were a tough New York guy. I know. These guys are definitely way more different in real life than they are on the radio show. Scott just talks shit because he's anonymous. It's like Scott feels the liberation and power that one feels when they're like 13 years old and they first get a phone and they make like an anonymous account and just start talking shit. But he's maintained that for a while now. Damn, he has a lot of videos on this Network Leads channel. They all appear to be like animated templates. I sure hope he didn't fucking pay for these. These are really, really bad, Peter. You know, the most, how much does the most viewed one have? 6,000 views. Oh, it's a puppet. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious, Peter. All right, there's one with his face in it. I can't find it. That's okay. That's okay. We can't find it. It's all good. It's all good. We can't find it. Alrighty. Alrighty.
So I know everyone has reasons, excuses, things that they would maybe prioritize one way or another. But one of the single biggest things you can do for yourself and your people is get them here. And the reason why I say get them here is once you are here, you will have an understanding of the scope of the industry, the unbelievable stories of the people that you'll learn from.
Just the MLM dead eyes right here, bro. Look at those eyes. The eyes of a shark. Nothing going on. The lights are on, but no one's home. Not a critical thought has been had. The contacts that you'll develop as well, not just for recruiting contacts. I'm talking about attorneys and the vendors and the different speakers and the consultants and the other distributors. And the conversations that you'll have around the lunch table will be phenomenal. The ones in the elevator, the friends you'll meet will be lifelong friends. And the passion and the belief that people... What about business? Passion, belief, positivity, friends. What about business? Building fortunes. Where's that at?
People will get from being at the A&MP meeting is just something that you cannot duplicate anywhere else. And for the smarter people that are watching or listening, get as many people here as you possibly can.
It is the Ray Higdon effect. Very similar way of speaking. Interesting. It doesn't even sound like Peter. I know. Amazing what 10 years and a good microphone can do for you.
You would think that I might say that because I have a vested
Does this look like a tough New York guy to you, ladies and gentlemen in the chat?
interest in the Association of Network Marketing Professionals because I'm their president. I'm their president because I believe in the organization. Our job is to help you build your business.
What happened to it?
And the very single most thing you can ever do
Way to go.
is get your people here to this organization, because they will, if you take a picture of them before they come and after they leave, they'll be different people. They'll be totally, any beliefs about
this is
this
it.
industry, or disbeliefs about this industry will be totally dispelled. They will be so passionate about
Thank you, NPAS, for sending me this. NPAS found it, of course. This is the one I'm thinking of.
what's going
Hold on.
And they'll come back every year. And the benefit of that to you, besides financial, will be personally, because you'll be benefiting those people as well.
Sociopath. Here, this is it. Jody Bear and Peter Mingles on Building Fortunes Radio. This is from 2 years ago. Wow, this was, of course, my mistake. How could I be so foolish? It's on the Building Fortunes Radio YouTube channel. So this was live streamed 2 years ago, where we can get a better
So let me just
modern example of Peter. Let's check it out. Here we go. So this is Peter on the right.
On our podcast. Anyway.
How does the quality get worse as time goes on? And he's wearing like his tank top. He's not even like wearing a proper shirt. On Building Fortunes Radio, wearing a tank top, wearing a wife beater.
Jody Bear is one of our most favorite people.
That sounds more like it. And that looks more like it in terms of the quality.
Doing a radio show live for, I think it's been 7 years or so. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/
Oh, I didn't even catch the part about the elevator. Yeah, hilarious.
Jody, you'll be able to catch us live. And we started to do this because there's a program that we have that can actually restream this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and a few other locations as well. So Jody sometimes asks, hey, can we do a live podcast? So on a Sunday night, many times we do both. We do 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll move that around during summer holiday or summer hours, I think.
Oh, it's too loud? My bad.
And then also we do this again, kind of like on the regular broadcast. So you'll always be able to go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Jody. But I'm going to be kind of brief on my introductions here. You know, we love Jody. She's a great person. She's worked on.
Is it Jody or Jody? Because if it's Jody, fix it.
A lot in the home-based business arena. She's just a fantastic individual. So I'm going to kind of step out of the way and let you guys see Jody. We have a lot of fun here. So we've, I don't see the Bob Bear vase anymore. The two.
Also, why is the room blacked out? Like, why are the walls like that? Is he in the basement? He has to be from Jersey or Long Island. Hilarious. BFR been rough on him, right? Holy shit. So funny.
1,000-year-old chick.
I wanted to say married. I wanted to say married.
Jody's husband. And he had some archaeology stuff that she stuck some pink flowers in or some flowers in on the back. So
what a loser, bro. What even the fuck is what the hell is even that? Let's watch one more of these.
Okay, the question is would I encourage people to join the Association of Network Marketing Professionals we call the ANMP? Well, I have to give you full disclosure. Currently, I'm the president of the ANMP, so you would imagine my answer would be of course. But let me share with you how I was attracted to the Distributor Rights Association before it became named the ANMP. So I was looking for this industry to provide for myself, my family, people that I liked, an opportunity for them to become successful. Those people that understand the rules of the game, and not that this is a game, but just to use that analogy, those people that understand the rules of the game are always going to be able to play it better and protect themselves from people that might harm them, if you will. So the Distributor Rights Association first started because I wanted to understand my rights as a distributor and also understand the rights of a company. So that's how I kind of got started. Now, I had no idea when I first joined.
Is she the one from Success by Health? I believe so. Also, yeah, you're wearing a tank top. Did he not know the camera was on?
What is now called the ANMP, what would happen? The lives that we would touch, the people that I would meet, some of the relationships that I developed are lifelong relationships, and not so much for me, but and as much for me, but also knowing full well that I'll be able to bring my children to this industry so they'll be in a safe place with some of the best people that ever walked on this planet. So for anyone that has that negative stigma of what a network marketing person might be, maybe there are certain people that fit that negative stigma, as with any industry, but you'll never find a better bunch of people associated with this organization. And I'll say that whether I'm the president of the organization or just an active member. So if people were asking me, the best single thing you can possibly do is engage and immerse yourself in this industry and join the Association of Network Marketing Professionals.
Jesus Christ. I want to see that. ANMP, Association of Network Marketing. Let's see it. I want to go to their actual site. I've never been before. Is he still the president? I don't think he is. This looks so bad. Looks so bad. Yeah, it looks so bad. Let's see. Is Mingles on here? International Convention. In 2 days? The International Convention is in 2 days? And it's how much? $400 fucking dollars? Or $349. 60 speakers, all master classes, and 8 meals included. Immersive and life-changing. Wow, I wonder who's going to be speaking at it. 4-star luxury, wow. Insanity. If I can do it, how I built it. Wait, oh, Tony Robbins? How I built it. You can too. I don't know why I keep swipping. Oh, this guy. Oh, the guy with no legs is going to speak. Okay. Hot Meals Entertainment. Who's going to be there? I don't see Peter Mingles. Ray Higdon. We love Ray Higdon. Ray Higdon's going to be speaking. Love that in 2 days. Where is this? Where is this even taking place, bro? We love Ray Higdon, don't we, y'all? Seeing if I recognize any other friendly faces. Matt Rosa. Oh, I know Matt Rosa. You know Matt Rosa from I Am Academy. It's a great company. And Vima. He was in Vima. Didn't that get shut down for being a pyramid scheme? Oh, never mind that. Matt Rosa is a great businessman. Let's see who else I might recognize from here. Ray Higdon and Matt Rosa already. 2 big ones. They have Ray Higdon and Ray Higgins, just in case you misheard. Just in case you spelt it wrong. Wow. Leslie Hawker. What a great name for somebody in promoting multi-level marketing. And many, many more. Where's Ming? Give me Ming! I'm going to be staging a protest outside like, give us Mingles! Give us Mingles! Oh, it's in Dallas. Oh, Scott. I wonder if Scott's going to pull up. He's in Plano. Man, look at all these folks. A lot of folks. That's for sure. If there's one thing they got, it's folks. Wow. Oh, is that Jessie Lee in that picture? Yep, Jessie Lee Ward. Can't make this up, bro. Ray Higdon, Jessie Lee, Matt Rosa. There she is, the Queen Bee. Crazy. So this is what Peter used to be the president of? Why aren't you anymore? Now he just babbles about Always Stupid Marco on Losing Fortunes Radio. Love it. How are you going to do that, Ray? How? How are you going to speak at the ANMP convention? Is Lou Skunt going to be there? Yeah, great question. He said he ceremoniously left. Jesus. I think he hired and fired himself from the ANMP, says Dave Vaughn. I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. What a goof. Yeah, Bad Dog, you wearing tank tops on your stream makes sense. You're talking about sports. This guy claims to be a professional businessman. Yeah. Gelito, welcome to Executive Team Leader. Appreciate you. All right, well, should we listen to the newest episode of BFR? I think we should.
Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio, Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Leads customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference.
Actually, I'm going to play it on iHeart because the player is better on iHeart.
They say you're on the track,
fuck.
but to where?
Oh, there's an ad. Let me get past the ad first. The link to play BFR Bingo is in the chat. Oh, I gotta fix that. Thank you, Gilito, once again for joining the cult as a member. Really appreciate that. There you go. All right. There we go.
Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at Building Fortunes. Join our newsletter and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio.
I'm putting it on 1.25 speed.
It's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. For all those people that are new, and believe it or not, we have new people all the time. For those people that are new, you're listening to us on a Saturday night. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. on the Central Side, and we are here on Scott Johnson's radio show. So I started Building Fortunes Radio back towards the tail end of 2000.
Where's the recap?
Beginning part of 2013. And I wanted to have a platform where we could speak about different things.
How come it's not on here? The option where Peter retells the origins of the show. That's got to be a staple on the bingo sheet. But anyways, let's continue.
Things related to home-based businesses. So I'm an MLM evangelist, if you will, pro-MLM for sure. But when I took a look at this industry, I was certainly surprised by a lot of the things that was going on. So I'm anti-MLM when it's done wrong, and I'm pro-MLM when it's done right. I was looking for a guest way back when, a guest speaker whose name is Roger Van Blissingen. And Roger writes for Seeking Alpha, which is a website that kind of gives people's opinions on publicly traded companies. And Herbalife was in trouble, and Herbalife is a publicly traded company. And Roger made a lot of really great points in the articles that he wrote. So I called him up, asked him to be on the show, and shortly after that show, Scott Johnson called me up and he said, you know, I listened to that radio show, but there's something that almost everybody misses in the argument against MLM. And I said, what's that, Scott? And he said, the tools scam. Now, many of you have heard this conversation before.
Is Ramit in me going to be at the conference? I think he is. If you guys have the history, him recapping the history on your bingo sheet, definitely cross it off. Definitely. All right, let's continue.
But I didn't know what Scott referenced by the tool scam. See, when I was looking for building a home-based business, I ran across somebody from Amway, and I knew that MLM was a great avenue to be able to make a lot of money because the direct sales company I was with had an MLM compensation plan added on called Superlink for a short period of time. And I used Superlink to be able to actually climb the ladder in that corporate structure, become an area vice president. And when the MLM went away, because the sales rep screwed it up, all they did basically was take the same level.
Benjamin says, okay, in response to Peter saying, for those people who might be new, and Benjamin says, yeah, the new people on Marco's channel. Yeah, so that's so meta. Peter on his show is greeting the new viewers of my show who are the proxy viewers of his show. I love it.
Sales and stack it under the MLM compensation. So the company was paying 14% more than they were supposed to.
Thumbs up the stream, y'all. Thumbs up the ting.
It didn't matter to me. I was already an area vice president. And we kind of moved along because it didn't give us any, for the most part, incremental sales. They just rearranged the sales.
Okay, Beyond says he's going to add it. Appreciate you. Okay, hold on. Pam, I missed a comment from Pam here. This seems important. There's something going on with Pam. Oh, take a drink every time they say Marco. Oh, yeah. Work's going to be rough tomorrow if you do that. If I follow Pam's lead, I'm going to be sloshed. Oh, yeah. All right, let's continue. Superlink. The way he emphasizes certain words is so insane. It's like he's trying to learn, how to blend in with humans.
They had. So I did it the right way. Lots of other people did it the wrong way. So you know how that goes. So anyway, I joined Amway because I was looking for maybe transitioning out because I made a ton of money when we were doing the MLM stuff. And I quit Amway the first time because, my upline was kind of new.
And Paz, new listeners, as though people are out there like, we got to listen to the show tonight. You're going to love it. Yeah, people are putting their friends on. Write this down.
They really couldn't give me a lot of explanations. They always wanted me to go to these events, and they wanted me to recruit. I kind of explained to them that recruiting wasn't really my issue.
You're vice president,
I could recruit people to knock on doors, sell vacuum cleaners, on commission only. I think I could probably sell a dream. So the reality was is that I quit. Then I joined again, and I quit again for the same reasons, because all they really wanted me to do was go to more meetings, buy more books, listen to more of these tapes. And by comparison, the tapes were not the same types of things that I was listening to. I was listening to Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Earl Nightingale, Roger Dawson, a whole bunch of other people like that. And, theirs were Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, mostly people from Riches Now, Rags for Stories. And then I quit. Then I was buying a white shirt in a mall one day, because I bought a lot of white shirts and lots of shoes, because we were going through lots of shoes. And the gentleman I was speaking to pitched me on, hey, listen, you should do what I do, part-time. I work with blah, blah, blah. He says, it sounds like an Amway pitch. And it was. But the guy says, no, that's not the way it is. You got to join with me. So I found it was, and I quit the third time. So my perception of a tool scam was kind of like a system scam. So I asked Scott, do you have a website? And he said, sure do. It's called stoptheamwaytoolscam.wordpress.com. So you can write that down, and Scott's going to give you his big websites in just a couple of minutes. But the reality was is that I said, Scott, you're right. A lot of people don't talk about the tool scam. But, I don't know how long we'll be able to talk about the tool scam. There's, people get bored if we only stay with that topic. So what we did was we started doing some radio shows, and that's when I learned that Scott knew a lot about MLM. And it wasn't just about the tools. We were talking about pyramid schemes. And
what do you mean? He's been talking about tool scams and lack of retail sales for 10 years.
Ponzi's and stuff like that, and all the other types of practices, both good and bad. And then we also started to talk about what was going on with social media as well. So we've been doing this radio show for a long time. Since Herbalife was having that problem with the FTC, it's been since then. So we're coming up to, I don't know, I think Scott tells me it was 2015. So we're coming up to whatever number of, I know Marco Mukaber, he sucks at math. So whatever number that is, Marco, see if you can grab your little calculator. The one that you do 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Do that one, Marco. See how many years we've been doing this radio show. But in August, that'll be that many number of years, Marco, if your calculator can pick up that many numbers. But the reality is that we've been doing it ever since, and lots of times we talk about MLM. We use different websites and different articles and things that we find.
He can't even stay on topic without going off. Like, we're 6 minutes into the episode. He can't even stay on topic without going off on a little Marco tangent just to get his little licks in, We'll
probably do a little bit of that today. We have a guest who may or may not be here. We think he might have messed up the times. But the reality is that we talk about those things. But most recently, I don't know how many nails in coffins it takes to completely close one where it can't get out.
Still going. You guys remember, last week's episode of Building Fortunes Radio was the nail in the coffin episode for Always Marco. That was the one. That was the one where they ended me, remember? That was the big finale. The big nail in the coffin finale. And now he's still going. Emily W., congrats on the membership. Yes, that was gifted, I believe, by A. Louise Mack, who gifted 20 memberships. Goodness gracious.
I got to get the bag.
Thank you. All right, let's continue.
But just recently, we're putting nails in the coffin for an anti-MLM troll. His name is Marco Mukaber. Lots of people call him Marco, always Marco. And we call it alwaysmarco.lol. He has his own website, alwaysmarco.lol. And if you listen in, we've been kind of putting the nails in the coffin for Marco Mukaber because he is on the verge of many things, positive for us, negative for him. His channel is dying. His donations are falling apart. He's lost his touch when it comes to begging his now bankrupt goons because they just don't have the money to be able to continue to support him. And he's on the, what do we call, like a New Year's Eve? He's on the lawsuit eve of getting his ass sued into the ground by a company called, what company? It's not WFG, although it could be. It might be Primerica. So Primerica is going to sue his ass to the ground if he releases his Primerica MLM or anti-MLM video. Can't wait till that happens, by the way. So we're just kind of like glowing with delight in watching his demise, just tapping one more nail in it.
Mez says, are the nails in the room with us right now? I'm bankrupt. You guys are all bankrupt. My channel is going down. There's 209 people watching. Oh, my God. So fucking funny. Oh, my God. Rubber nails, yeah.
Every every coffin until it's finally over because he deserves it. So he deserves it. And having said that, Scott, sorry for the long.
Scott's gonna come in and go, yeah, great points, Peter. Listen to how bad his quality is.
Longer introduction, but I just always have to pound one more nail into Marco Mukabear's coffin. Besides his personal life sucking, besides his business life sucking, he's going to wind up living in a cardboard box, most likely having to work at McDonald's or some other fast food joint that he always puts down as a result of the things that he does or says. So kind of enjoying this guy glowing and gloating, if you will, on Marco's demise. So back to you.
Hey, Peter. Yeah, thanks. And you're right as far as the tool scam, and I like to go over this beginning part at the beginning because we have new listeners, and I want to give them some orientation on the tool scam, and I'll definitely dig into Marco after I get done. But anyway, you said the system, and that is how the tool scam is referred to by the upline. It's the system, right? And like you said, it's books, tapes, and functions. That was back in our day in the 90s and so forth. Now it's books, functions, which is various size meetings.
Leads.
And instead of having tapes, cassette tapes, they transitioned to...
Lucy and Voldy, thank you for the donut. They said, we're broke, we're poor.
You're broke! You're fucking poor!
Exactly. Oh, my God.
CDs and DVDs, and then eventually, just electronic MP3, MP4 downloads. And so now there's, books, there's meetings, there's phone apps, there's all these recordings on the phone apps, there's voicemail, there's website access, there's all kinds of ways that the upline makes money. And what makes it a scam isn't the fact that they're making money, because I don't have a problem with somebody making money as long as they do it ethically, morally, and legally. But what they do in Amway, the high-level distributors, they give every impression, they lie by omission that they make most of their profit from the tools, and they put on airs as if they made all of their money from Amway, and that's not true. They make most of their money from the tools. And so that's what makes it a scam. It's not the making the money, it's the fact that they're lying.
So then, Scott, how do you explain, once again, he's never answered it, how do you explain your husband Peter selling leads? That's his whole business, lead generation systems, selling leads to MLM people, and he himself is not in an MLM company. He himself is doing exactly what you're describing. He is not making money from an MLM compensation plan. He is selling leads.
That's where their primary profit is coming from, and that's what makes it a scam. So that's number one problem. I have two major problems with MLM. That's number one. And not all MLMs have tool scams. So, this is not a universal thing.
Does this voice match this face when I play it, y'all? Let me know in the chat.
The other thing is either universal or nearly universal, and that is the lack of retail sales. And what we're talking about there are sales. The definition is a sale to somebody who is not part of the MLM compensation plan. They
Bye,
are a
Emily.
customer. You cannot have a retail sale going to a distributor. That's impossible. That's called internal consumption as opposed to retail sales. Those are two separate categories. There's no overlap. And it's important because when the FTC has gone after MLMs in the past, most recently Vima and Herbalife, the settlement, unfortunately, they did not go to court trial, or else we would have had a lot more information about what was really going on. But the settlements basically had a halfway calculation. In other words, if you sell retail to at least as much as you personally consume, and everybody does that on average, then the FTC considers that to be a legitimate MLM. And in my mind, the reason for that is because you've demonstrated that there's free market demand for the products as opposed to distributors who are willing to overpay for the products because they're being told by their upline, hey, you can get filthy rich at this thing. Let's just, sponsor, recruit as many people as you can, and you'll get filthy rich like me. And so that is the incentive for distributors to buy the products. Customers don't have that incentive. They just look at the product, look at the price, look at the quality, the guarantee, the warranty, whatever on the product.
You know what, though? I'm asking the wrong question when I say, does the face match the voice? Because we just saw how big of a difference the microphone quality can make when it came to Peter. Peter doesn't even sound like the same person on Losing Fortunes Radio as he does on video. So I guess the same thing would apply with Scott.
The product or the device or the service and make a decision. And that's the only calculation that a customer makes as opposed to a distributor. And so the issue is that most MLM products are overpriced. And what that leads to is very little in the way of customer sales. But there's plenty of distributor sales because they're being told, hey, go recruit a bunch of people and you'll get filthy rich. And so that's the problem. Number two is the lack of retail sales. And that's where I think the FTC has really fallen down by not making that part of their...
Elena, thank you for the dono. I can't believe Scott lives in my city. You hilarious.
Their basic guidance to both MLMs and to the general population that if an MLM does not have at least half of their products or services going to people who are not part of the MLM compensation plan, it's an illegal pyramid. And then enforce that. Have these MLMs report their retail sales, do audits on them. You can easily find people out there like Tina.org and the DSSRC, whatever organization that provides oversight, which is kind of a squirrely organization because it's sponsored by the Better Business Bureau and the DSA, which both of those organizations are not what I would call on the up and up. But anyway, it's something. And they have turned in some really bad actors to the FTC. And to my knowledge, the FTC has not done anything with any of those reports. So even the FTC, I don't trust them. But they need to put this kind of guidance out there so that people know what the minimum retail sales are to demonstrate that there's free market demand. Otherwise, what you have is the same thing as the old airplane game or chain letter or gifting scheme. Those are all things without any products. And so if you can't sell the products to the public because they're overpriced, then what you have is a mixture of a legitimate purchase, which is part of the product cost, and then the inflated part of the product cost is the same exact thing as all those other product-less pyramids. And I don't understand why people don't get that, but they don't really put it in that framework. I'm the only one that I know of that does put it in that framework, and I've definitely told the FTC about this. I told them last May, a year ago, when they were looking for the earnings claims and product by the overpriced bidders. So anyway, that's just kind of my lead-in. The lack of retail sales,
Nonsense.
Which is the definition of an illegal pyramid, by the way, it's nothing else than that. That's what an illegal pyramid is. When Marco tries to say, well, this World Financial Group up in Canada is accused of selling, the inappropriate insurance products to people, and therefore they are an illegal pyramid, that's nonsense. Because you could have a non-MLM insurance company doing the same thing, and then Marco, with his quote-unquote logic, would call that a pyramid scheme? No, that's not even.
Hold on. Let me respond fairly to what he's saying.
Any sense? Therefore, they are. That's what an illegal pyramid is. You find the cheaters. So anyway, that's just kind of my lead-in. The lack of retail sales, which is the definition of an illegal pyramid, by the way, it's nothing else than that. That's what an illegal pyramid is. When Marco tries to say, well, this World Financial Group up in Canada is accused of selling, the inappropriate insurance products to people, and therefore they are an illegal pyramid, that's nonsense. Because you could have a non-MLM insurance company doing the same thing.
I see. Well, yeah, that was just one part of WFG is a pyramid scheme, and it also does shady insurance practices as an insurance company as well. It does things that are shady that an insurance company that's non-MLM shouldn't do either. But it also does happen to be a pyramid scheme. So you're a quarter right, Scott.
And then Marco, with his quote-unquote logic, would call that a pyramid scheme? No, that's not even, it doesn't make any sense at all. But he's always stupid, so, you have to keep that in mind. So anyway, that's kind of the introduction. I wanted to talk about a couple things. First of all, I wanted to make another comment on Always Stupid Narco because in one of his recent streams, they've got some really big wildfires up there in Canada right now. He lives in Edmonton, and the smoke is really bad. I mean, it really is unhealthy. The government is advising people to stay indoors and, only go outdoors if you have to because the pollution from the fires is off the charts high.
LL Beyond says, read my fan fiction on the air. I will. I'll read the Scott and Peter romance fan fiction that Beyond wrote.
It's just a tremendously big problem. So Always Stupid Narco.
Literally talking like Trump. It's tremendously big problem, frankly. Huge problem. It's from China. The smoke came from China.
Has decided, well, that means I can't run my air conditioner, even though Edmonton recently had a record high for the day. I think it was May 21st, I think he said it was. It was a record high for that day in Edmonton. And I just want to give Marco a little bit of free advice because he didn't realize that when you run your air conditioner, you don't draw in outside air. All you do is recirculate your inside air through a heat exchanger, which is running a Freon loop between the inside and the outside.
I don't know. Maybe you have a different kind of AC unit, Scott. I know you thought that you were getting me with that one, but no, my AC unit literally does pull in the air from outside. and I watched an entire YouTube video before I bought it about the different types of air conditioning units and how there are ones that connect to the window that pull in the air from outside, and the entire process that goes on within the machine to convert it to cold air. It literally has like the big hose that attaches to the opening on the window that I connect to it, and I can feel the tube getting warm because it's pulling in that warm air. So sorry, Scott, you are wrong. Whatever thing you're thinking of, maybe it exists, sure, I'm not denying that, but that's not the type of AC I have. Sorry.
There's no air exchange. It's just this freon loop. You know, when the freon gets compressed, turned into a liquid, and then it's allowed to expand through an expansion valve, it absorbs heat. And so it absorbs heat from the room, and the room gets cooler because there's a fan going across the heat exchanger blowing the cold into the room, and then the freon goes back out.
Kylie says, why does Scott's neck look like that? Because this picture has been enhanced using AI. The original was blurrier and like not as focused. So he looks a lot smoother, a lot younger here, and it's caused this sort of degradation of quality on the neck. But, I mean, I could pull up the original email that was sent to me and pull up the original version of the photo, and you guys could see that if you wanted to. Let me show it to you here. But then again, do I want to show his... If I could show... Yeah, it's such poor quality, the original, so I'm just sticking with this for now.
Side, where it gives off the heat to the outside, and then it gets compressed again, and it's just a continuous cycle. But there's no air exchange between the inside and outside. And so I just wanted to help out Always Stupid Narco a little bit, that he can turn on his air conditioner and not
I have a portable AC, Scott.
Bring in all of that smoky air from the outside. And when he made that comment, not a single one of his goons pointed that out to him. So, I mean, he has attracted just an army of stupid people. In fact, I think that Marco's only the third stupidest category of people.
Wow.
The second most stupid category.
He's going to say Democrats.
Category are the people that follow him and think that he's speaking sense.
Number one
now,
is Democrats.
The stupidest category, the number one category,
Libs.
is the people that do what the second stupidest category does, you know, follows Marco and thinks he makes sense. But on top of that, they give him money.
Yeah, there you go.
And so they are the stupidest of the stupidest. Even though Marco displays his stupidity on every single show that he does, there are more stupid people, just as I just described. But anyway, I'll stop there, Peter, because I had something else I wanted to go over, but let me just let you make any comments on what I've said so far.
And I think based on Marco's research, you're qualified to be able to answer that question. Because when you're not spending time calling from a jail, you're an HVAC guy.
I'm an HVAC guy, and I actually am in prison, and I fix the HVACs in prison too. Even though
I actually love Scott and Peter for playing along with the theory. So one of the theories that I had before we had the image of Scott, one of the theories I had was that maybe he's in jail. Maybe he calls into the show from jail. That would explain maybe why the audio quality is so bad. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt for why their audio quality was so bad, because I thought there's no way two grown men who are supposedly successful businessmen running a show called Building Fortunes Radio would be committing to do this podcast every week for 10 years and yet neglect the audio quality and let it be this bad. And I thought, you know what, maybe he's in prison. Maybe that's why we don't have a picture of him. That's why we don't know what he looks like. But, you know, I actually love them for playing along with that.
Even though a lot of Texas prisons don't have air conditioning, you know, I just blow hot air and, you know, I make it work. So, yeah, and by the way, this is supposed to be a big reveal tonight. Marco claims that he's found me. He has pictures of me, and I'm not as tall as I said I am. And I'm really looking forward to the show tonight because it's going to be...
I'm not as tall as I said I am. That's what he's focused on.
I'm just a dumb bitch that gives Marco the narco money.
Exactly.
You're fucking
I got to get the bag.
Thank you, dumb B. Wow. I like how his whole beef, his whole worry about me revealing him is not that he's tried to hide his identity for so long. It's that he's worried that I'm going to say he's not as tall as I... Is Scott talks about his height on this bingo sheet or any of yours?
Be a really interesting situation that Marco thinks that a guy by the name of Scott Johnson, which is not the most common name in the country, but It's not unusual, right? Neither Johnson nor Scott are highly unusual names, but he's got me pinned down, Peter. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this is what Scientology does, right? They track down people, they spy on them, they take pictures, they harass them, and all these things. So I'm really looking forward. And by the way, Narco said that he's 99% sure that they found the right Scott Johnson. And the only doubt that he has in his mind is he hasn't heard any sound come from my voice to compare it to this podcast to really conclude that he found the right Scott Johnson. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the show tonight that little Narco is putting together. So anyway, I'll stop there and let you continue, Peter. Thanks.
Yeah, I will take your level of expertise as being that HVAC company owner. You know, you've been dealing with heating and air conditioning. You would be the one that would be able to tell Marco he's completely misguided when it comes to his air conditioner. So thank you for that. Okay, so you had a couple of other points you wanted to make. And for those, we should probably give people a little refresher course of Marco. So I'll kind of give my very brief aspect. Marco is what we call a troll and a punk, and somebody who is the focal point. He could also be the fecal point, but he's the focal point of a lot of our criticism about MLM. So when we're talking about MLM and anti-MLM stuff, Marco is a great person to pick on because the stuff that he gets wrong.
I like how when it comes to like Dominic Izzo, Scott, Peter, I'm the focal point. Remember Dominic Izzo called me the leader of the anti-MLM?
Wrong are a lot of the things that other people get wrong as well. And unfortunately, most of the people in the anti-MLM YouTube or social networking world are women. And it would be very unkind for people like you, Scott, and like me to be picking on women. So I just don't do that. I don't think it would be appropriate. Some of them, you know, their moms are going to be moms and all of that other sort of stuff. So I just don't want to do that. So we can pick on Marco, who could be transitioning to become a mom almost any day now because his body is so soft. He looks kind of squishy. I think he might be transitioning. Maybe that might be the issue.
He said my body is so soft? Go back.
But the reality is don't want to do that. So we can pick on Marco, who could be transitioning to become a mom almost any day now because his body is so soft. He looks kind of squishy. I think he might be transitioning. Maybe that might be the issue. But the reality is we can pick on Marco because he deserves it. And it happens relentlessly, and there's lots of people that help. If you go to alwaysmarco.lol, you'll always be able to find something really cool. And he's got a host of other websites that are available. Somebody puts those things up. You got marcomukabear.com. You got marcomukabear.gay. And Marco's so freaking stupid that he hasn't even read that one yet, so he thinks that we're anti-gay people. The other things that you'll be able to see is, I think there's a store too. You can go to alwaysmarco.store and see some stuff and hear some recordings. But Marco is the focal point of some of the things that we pick on in the anti-MLM world. So back to you, Scott.
Yeah, in fact, you know, I'm so smart, but all Marco had to do was go on Google and type in the words, do air conditioners bring in outside air? And he could have known the answer. I mean, that is fingertips. That's how stupid he is. You'd rather be in a hot, sweltering, one-bedroom, little tiny apartment than just do a simple Google search and find the answer to that question. I mean, that's how really stupid he is. It's quite amazing, Peter. It really is. He never fails to impress us with his stupidity every single day. And you're right, he's a complete jerk. He's talked about a lot of different things, you know, stealing from this company and that company, and, you know, cheating on his math test with his best friend that, you know, got into an MLM, and then, you know, the friendship was over. But his best friend, he's just using him.
Johnny says, wait, I thought Peter was pregnant. Yeah, he did say that on a previous episode, didn't he?
Using him, right? To cheat on a test. It's just amazing, you know, what Marco considers his best friend. It's a guy that's willing to allow him to cheat on a test. And I wanted to get into a little bit of math, by the way, because he did a recent interview that was actually back in March with Doug Brooks, who's a MLM attorney.
Yes.
Doug made a statement during that interview that's pretty typical of a lot of anti-MLMers. And he said all the money goes to the very top of the pyramid. That's what makes these things bad. And I just wanted to kind of point out some numbers.
Yeah. You know what? I'll take Scott's advice and I'll search it right now. Are there air conditioners that pull in outside air? Let's see. Air conditioners do not bring in fresh air from the outside. That's not how they were designed. What actually happens is the air conditioner uses a fan to draw into the unit and disperse it through a structure. Okay, let's see about the it's talking about these ones. I guess I should say portable air conditioners. How do portable air conditioners work? Let's see. Okay, let's see. I want to see if I can find one that's like mine. Oh, this one has a hose going outside. Portable air conditioners are very convenient to use in small spaces or for spot cooling. Many people are tempted to buy one for blah, blah, blah. In this article, we'll run the portable air conditioners work. Stand-up air conditioner, air can be moved around, self-contained device. Portable models. Okay, I think I see where he's going with this. The working of portable air conditioning, extracting heat. I see. Okay. The fan pulls in hot, humid air from the room into the portable air conditioner. The coils present inside the unit bring down the air's temperature as well as extract water from it through condensation. The cooled air is transferred back indoors. Okay, so I guess maybe what he's saying here is that the hose that connects to outside is for expelling the hot air that the AC unit has made and pushing the hot air back outside. Either way, it doesn't change the fact, if that is how it works, it doesn't change the fact that, okay, yeah, here it's saying single hose portable aircon has a single exhaust vent. So it's the exhaust. So this is the exhaust port. It's not pulling the air in. Okay, so my mistake. It's not pulling in the air from outside. Regardless, Scott, I couldn't use the AC unit because even having the window open that little bit in order to connect the exhaust tube to it, the smoke was so bad that it started getting inside and I could smell the smoke. So regardless of if I was wrong about how the AC unit actually works, you're the AC guy. I'm not the AC guy. All right. I didn't realize that it was the exhaust. I didn't realize it was pushing the hot air out and not bringing it in and converting it that way. I had it backwards. I'll admit it. I had it backwards. Regardless, I didn't choose to sit in sweltering heat because I'm an idiot and I didn't know how it worked. Regardless of how it works, I mean, that actually proves my point of how bad the smoke was, that even though this AC unit is actually supposedly pushing the air out, that the smoke was still getting in. That's how bad it was. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What you were about to witness is
ladies
real.
And gentlemen,
the participants are not actors.
We got him.
They are actual litigants with a case.
You got me. Always stupid narco confirmed. Always stupid narco. What an idiot. Yeah. So, damn. They got me. He looks like an off-duty Teletubby. Hilarious, Silica. Scott is literally pink. I mean, he found a new thing to click to, so I love that. What up, Megan? The interview from March, Tyler, though, it did just come out, so I'll give them that. He is correct. The interview did happen in March, but it just came out. You need to search window ones, not portable. They don't pull in the air. They push out the hot air. Okay. Everyone knows how ACs work. Always stupid. So the air from outside is in the room. They bring in air from outside. Okay, Daniel says they bring in air from outside. The air exhausted has to be pulled back in from somewhere. I mean, who knows? Y'all in the chat can disagree. I'll take Scott's word for it. I trust Scott Johnson more than anybody.
I completely confused Narco because he's not good at math. He says it all the time. But what I did was and I know it's not easy going over numbers when you're just talking about them. It's a lot easier to have a picture in front of you. But I'm going to just talk about a build out of distributors that is typical in Amway. This is how they show how the money.
Okay, and no more commenting about this AC shit. But Aaron C says that dual hose air conditioners have two hoses. One will suck in air from the outside and cool the unit, and cool the unit's compressor and condenser coils. So who knows?
Flows. This is not how organizations actually grow, and they'll tell you that up front. They'll say, look, this is not how your organization is going to grow exactly. We're just trying to show you if you have this many legs and this much volume in each leg, this is how much money you'll make. That's all it is. And they, what the anti-MLMers do is they take this to the extreme. They go 5 by 5 by 5. And little Narco was pushing his calculator, times 5, times 5. Oh my gosh, times 5, times 5. It's terrible. And it's not the purpose of this illustration. It's not at all. So here's a typical Amway presentation. It's called 642. Okay. In other words, you're at the top. You know, you can put a circle in your mind with the word YOU, you, in that circle, and then draw 6 circles below you across, you know, horizontally with a line going to each one of those 6. And then for those 6, each one of those has 4 little lines going to it, and then each one of those has 2 lines going to it. That's what 642 means. Is your front line is 6, your next line is 4, and your next line is 2 each. Okay, so the way the numbers work out, what I did was I looked at the Amway chart that shows the percentage based on the volume and so forth. And this is really high-level math. This is like multiplying, adding, and subtracting, Peter. So this is way, way over Narco's head. Yeah, he is lost already. I guarantee you. So they say all the money goes to the top. Well, shouldn't most of the money go to the top, because that's the person that's either directly or indirectly responsible for everybody being in the business and teaching them how to do things and that sort of thing. And I always respond to that question, well, how many thousands of dollars a month should the newbie be paid, in your opinion? I mean, the person just got started. They don't know anything. They haven't created hardly any volume for the MLM company. Tell me, how many thousands of dollars a month do you think they should be making, right? And so it just makes no sense. Their argument that all the money goes to the top makes no sense. But here's how the money works out in real life. And I used 100 PV, and there's about a 3-to-1 ratio now. It might even be up almost to 4-to-1 by now with the inflation we've been having. But I used 3-to-1. So in other words, 100 PV costs you about $300 at IBO cost. And that's the ratios we're working with, along with the chart that Amway. You can find the chart, the bonus chart online very easily. So the bottom level, the best way to calculate this in my mind is starting from the bottom and going up. So the very bottom level, there's 48 people down there. Each of them make $9 each, okay? Now, they also say that you can make about 30% retail profit by marking up the products and selling them. And so what I assumed of that 100 PV, half of it was going to customers, which would be about $150. You take that times 30%, and it's $45. So it's really 9 plus 45. But the reality is, even at your so-called wholesale IBO cost, most of the products are overpriced. And I could never, in good conscience, try to do a markup on any kind of a retail product. It just didn't make any sense. I wouldn't be able to, live with my own sense of morality marking up an already overpriced product. And who would buy it anyway if it's overpriced? So I really discount that extra $45 because it just does not occur in almost every case. So anyway, so the bottom layer gets $9 each. The next people up, and there's 24 of them, right? Because this is the 4 people under the 6 people. 4 times 6 is 24. They each make $36 a month. And then the next level up, there's 6 of them, like that's your front line of 6. They each make $252. And then the person at the very top, if there's only one, it's you, that's $31.17. So it looks like, golly, all that money's going to the top. But if you look at it and break out by the level and the total dollars going at that level, then that bottom level is making of the total, and the total is almost $6,000. And I'm going to just round some numbers here because using exact numbers, again, it's hard enough just rounding numbers. So the total is actually $59.25, but I'm going to use $6,000. Okay, so the total available is $6,000. Just keep that number in your mind. Of that total $6,000, about $400 goes to the bottom level, about $800 goes to the next level up, about $1,500 goes to the next level up, and then about $3,000 goes to you, the top.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme to me.
And so you are making about half of the total bonus, but the other half is spread out down through the organization. So I don't understand how people say, well, all the money goes to the top. It doesn't. Half of it, and of course, this is Amway's plan.
What a fucking idiot. In that best case scenario example that you just gave, Peter, sorry, Scott, even I mixed them up. In that best case scenario example that Scott just gave there, he's talking about $6,000 in total monies for the whole organization, the whole pyramid, and only half is going to the top. So I don't know why these anti-MLMers say all the money goes to the top. Okay, in that example that you gave, which is a pretty fantastical example, because first of all, you only went those few layers. If you expanded it further, you would see that it's impossible. And when you expand it further, like the 5x5x5 that I always talk about, you would see very soon that those couple levels that you showed that are making money in your example are only the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the pyramid, as it were. And as you go down, you get an ever-increasing number of recruits who will always be the majority of people in the company. And as your own example showed, As you go down further in levels and expand with the number of recruits, so too do you decrease the number of money available to that level. So there's one person at the top making $3,000 in your example, Scott. I'll go with what you said. And that yet the bottom level with way more people is sharing the scraps of whatever he said. It was much less. That's the point. So 3,000 is being shared by the bottom few levels, and then the top layer that he says is getting the other 3,000. Well, yeah, that does sound like a pyramid scheme to me. And again, if you were to spread that out, first of all, without even expanding it, which would prove my point even further, but without even doing that, I mean, you can look at in the example you gave, Scott, you can look at the amount of money that the people in the bottom level, the bottom rank, are making, and now factor in just their cost. Factor in just their startup fee, their application fee, and the overhead costs that they paid. And let's say each of them was only in it for 1 month. So they paid one sign-up fee, and they paid 1 month's worth of the back office software, and maybe they paid for one training or one event or some leads or some tools or whatever. They are in the red. So even if you wanted to make the argument about how, well, the bottom layer should be getting less because, you know, I get he's trying to make an equivocation between this and regular corporate capitalism where the CEO gets paid much more than a rank and file cashier. And he's trying to legitimize what he's saying in that way. But if you were to factor in the costs of this bottom layer who's making less, you would see that not only are they making less, they are losing money. The same cannot be said for a person who is working an entry-level job at a Walmart or a McDonald's. Yeah, they're not getting paid the amount as the same amount as the CEO, but they are getting paid.
And there's other plans out there. I've never analyzed any others, but I think this is typical.
Yeah, exactly. So out of 36 people, one person gets more than 50% of the money. Sounds pretty fair. Insane. 6,000, write that down. I never want to hear numbers again.
The person at the top makes about half of the total profit, and then the rest of the way down, it just keeps going in half, right? And again, it's not most at the top. It's about half of it. Now, I say that.
Okay, it's about half of it is at the top, but half of 6,000 going to one guy and 36 other people sharing the rest. Well, one guy, you could say, is getting half of what way more people, of what 36 total people are getting. It's not like half of the people are making half of the money. One guy is making half of the money.
But in Amway, there's that tool scam, and that's where this whole thing changes. This is why when Doug Brooks mentioned the distributors in Wisconsin, the direct distributors, they call them platinums now, when they made a negative $900 a year, that was based on their tax returns, which included all of their overhead costs, so that even though it looked like on paper maybe they were making $3,000 a month gross, it turned out that their overhead costs were slightly more than that, so that they were losing, approximately $100 a month, maybe $80 a month. And so even though their gross income may have been $2,000 or $3,000 a month, their net was a little bit less than zero.
Okay, so you get it then, Scott. So you get that when you factor in their costs, they're losing money. So how are you still trying to justify this? Oh, well, then he would come back and say, oh, well, see, it's the tool scam. It's the tool scam. Well, no, even without the tool scam, just those people making, $9? Bad Dog said bottom level got $9 a month in his example. Even without the tool scam, fuck the tool scam for a second. Even with just the system you described, they would be losing money just with their base mandatory fees. Without the tool scam, they would be in the red. They'd be in the negative.
And again, it's because of that tool scam. That's what causes people to lose money. And
no, it's
probably
not.
All the people under them, because the person I just mentioned.
Scott, every single MLM that has ever been studied shows the same loss rates, 99.something%, regardless of the presence of a tool scam or not.
Here is a platinum. This one person that I mentioned in the 642, that's the platinum level. And so everyone below them is probably also operating in a net loss because they're making a lot less money individually, but they still have all of those overhead expenses, both legitimate like travel and so forth, and illegitimate with the overpriced tools. So anyway, a lot of numbers, a lot of different things there. I just wanted to point out that at least in the Amway plan, if you ignore the tool scam, about half the money goes to the platinum, the other half goes spread out amongst the downline based on the volume that they're producing, right? The more volume you produce for the company, the more you should get compensated. That's how it is in any company, MLM or non-MLM. The person at the top, in fact, I think CEOs these days make about, I want to say it's somewhere around 300 times the average employee. I think that's the statistic. So if you use that statistic, and again, ignoring the tool scam, then MLM is a lot more fair, if you want to use those words, than a normal company with a CEO that gets paid, millions, maybe tens of millions of dollars a year. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of point that out because, Doug Brooks just mentioned another fallacy and has nothing to base it on. But these are the real numbers. These are the calculations. I cross-check my math. Everything works out. And I'm willing to, debate anybody that thinks that it's different than this, at least in Amway. I'm not going to speak up for other MLMs, but at least in Amway, it does not all go to the top. Half of it goes to the top. The rest of it's spread out amongst the other people. So I'll stop there. Peter, I got to go tighten up a little air conditioning thing here in prison, so you please talk for a minute, and I'll be right back. Oh, by the way, I want to mention one more thing. The comment the other day that people were making as we were doing our show and Narco was replaying it, they were making comments in the sideline that I had to go answer a phone call, and I was, kind of insulting Glenn by doing that. But I told you before the show started, hey, I've got something going on with my job. I may have to take a phone call during the show, so just go ahead and carry on without me. And that did happen. I did get that phone call. I had to take care of something, and I came back.
That's not very boss man of you. That's not very time freedom, financial freedom of you.
Came back, but that's what really happened. It was nothing against Glenn at all. It was just a work requirement that had to be addressed. Because that's the kind of guy I am. So anyway, I'll just stop there and let you make some more comments, Peter.
Ew, Scott, you still have a J-O-B? Blech. Journey of the broke, buddy. Get with it. Even always stupid Narco doesn't have a J-O-B.
Thanks.
Yep, so all good stuff. So for those people that are listening in, Marco seems to always tell his version of a story, and I kind of found a recording that makes no sense that I played at this time.
There we go.
But I'm going to play it anyway, just for his goons to hear it, just to kind of tell people a little bit more about the type of person he is. So you'll find this all over the
plays
internet.
this all the time.
And this is Scott, where he asks people to take a look at his private parts. So here we go.
Oh my God, the gain is so loud. He's holding it right up to the mic. I have to skip ahead.
Once in a while, Scott, just for his...
That's so bad. I can't believe that.
I don't know you very well, but do you want to see my window? I don't know you very well, but
So that's Marco. So I just got to throw those in there every once in a while, Scott, just for his listening audience, because he's usually listening to us when we're talking about his radio show, but that's the kind of person that he is. So having said that, he never talks about it, never admits it, never comments on any part of it, so he just kind of buries it, if you will, like it never happened. So for his goons, you can go do a super chat. Why don't you, give him some money so he doesn't have to ask people to go see his wiener. So back to you, Scott. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about next. I just like throwing those in there periodically because some of his people just need to know what kind of person he is.
Yeah, he has a lot of new followers that are unaware of some of this history, and
I wonder if he has Doug Brooks. I wonder if he has Doug Brooks.
He may have. You just never know. You just never. I do remember one thing from his Doug Brooks interview where they were talking about retail sales, and Marco made his usual comment. Well, I don't think if you sell to your friends or relatives that should count as a retail sale. And Doug just kind of smoothed right over that. I don't think Doug agrees with that. I know I don't, because how are you going to measure a friend or a relative? I mean, does it have to be like a direct relation, or does a cousin work? What if you hate your mom and dad like Marco does, and they hate?
Hey, Bam, that would be dope. An AI app that will move the mouth of the picture in real time while watching. That's dope.
Hate him, by the way, especially his stepmom. If they hate each other, wouldn't that count as a retail sale? If you can actually sell something to them, even though they hate your guts and you hate their guts, I mean, I think it should count as a retail sale. And a friend, I mean, is it like, well, if it's less than 5 years, it's okay, but if it's greater than 5 years, it's not? Or, maybe your friend saved your life. You only met him once or twice.
The word for PP they use is winky. That's on the bingo sheet too, right here. Winky. I'm waiting to cross that one off. We'll get to it.
twice, but they saved your life, or maybe they helped you cheat on a math test. Does that count? I mean, it just goes crazy with, the what ifs that you come up with for where you draw that line. And so the only place to draw it is they count. It doesn't matter. As long as they're not part of the MLM compensation plan, then they count as a customer. And Doug was just, the usual lawyer. He just doesn't address it. He just kind of passes over it and starts talking about something else rather than directly addressing the point that Marco was making. And so, Narco should understand that Doug does not agree with him. He just was a little too polite. He doesn't know enough about Narco's background either to not treat him, decently. So anyway, that's another little Marco tidbit.
Yeah, the funny thing is, in one argument, Marco will talk about, that you're not being paid a good hourly wage. And then, if you really think about it, Scott, sometimes the people that are closest to you wind up taking most of your time. They're probably the least productive, as far as profit is concerned, of your time, because you spend extra time with them, all that sort of stuff as well. And in essence, then he says that you shouldn't be paid on those people. So in one part of their brain and their mouth, this is how incompetent these people are when it comes to any kind of education about how to run a business. They'll say, well, you're not even making a minimum wage. And then yet they'll say, we shouldn't pay you on all the work that you've just done. So, I mean, they have inconsistent arguments. They're inconsistent, intellectually midgets. So back to you.
I don't say that MLM should pay minimum wage. I say that you will make less than a minimum wage in MLM. Actually, it would be a miracle if you made more than a minimum wage in MLM. Minimum wage, when factoring in the hours you work, if the hours you worked and the money you made equaled out to like the minimum wage you would make at a part-time or full-time job, yeah, it would be incredible.
Scott?
Yeah, in fact, this is where we left off last week with Glenn, and this is where I want to pick up with Glenn next week, is that whole, hourly wage versus business owner mentality that is just really mixed up in a lot of people's minds. And we're going to dig into that this next Monday with Glenn to really dig into that and explain the difference, that you really can't make the comparison between an hourly wage, like a minimum wage, to a business entrepreneurial type environment. It's just apples and oranges, and we'll explore that more in detail. But that's a really good point that needs to be addressed as well, because it really is not the way to compare the two very different environments. Now, Peter, you wanted to also, I think, talk a little bit about the success by health. There was that decision that came out a couple of weeks ago, I think it has been now, and you have some inside information. Some people that were directly involved in that lawsuit. Jody Bayer, in fact, she was mentioned in the lawsuit.
So the homegirl that he was doing the Zoom call with 2 years ago, Joe D, was mentioned in a lawsuit, Success by Health lawsuit. Success by Health just got in trouble. So, damn. Some good company you keep. I mean, remember in that A&MP video we watched earlier with Ming? He says, these are the best people walking the earth, the best people you'll ever meet that are part of this. And the company he keeps, very interesting, the company Peter keeps, that they're all getting in trouble with the FTC. And Peter's name is mentioned in the book Ponzi-nomics alongside the CEO of Zeek Rewards, one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in recorded history. Good things.
That she was prosecuted, but apparently she was the largest distributor in that company that was not one of the executives. She was like a pure distributor versus being part of the executive team and also being a distributor. So I think you have some good information, or are you able to talk about that a little bit?
I can certainly speak about it, because for those people that are listening in, Jody Bayer was a gal who started radio shows with us right at the same time that Vima was temporarily shut down, right at the same time with Herbalife and stuff like that. So this has been a long time coming. So Jody was a Vima distributor, and in essence didn't get her last check because they shut her down. And she was doing some radio shows with us, and she was promoting her next event. And literally we started to do some promotion for her, and she called me up and she said, company's been shut down. I said, well, if they're doing a TRO, temporary restraining order, you're not going to be open. I mean, you're down, so forget about your event. You better try to figure out whatever you're going to do. So she says, well, what am I going to do? I'm not sure what you're going to do, Jody, but you're not going to do the event, that's for sure. So we started doing our radio show. She wound up joining another company called Zija, and as a result of that, she met a gentleman named Jay Noland. So Jay Noland was a gentleman who has a dynamic background, if you will, very well known for being a dynamic speaker, one of these really hyped up training session kind of things. So he knows his stuff. He was a previous baseball player. But when Jay Nolan does an event, everybody's up and dancing, and it's really an event. Not my kind of event. It does not turn me on. So just so you know, I'm the guy, my personality style is the Jay Nolan kind of events don't do it for me. But just because they don't do it for me doesn't mean they don't do it for a lot of other people as well. So some people loved those kinds of events. Well, anyway, so Jay Nolan was hired as an outside consultant for this company. And one thing led to another. That company was run by a whole bunch of Mormons. And Mormons, if you don't know, don't drink coffee. So they don't do like stimuluses like drugs. They don't do cursing. They don't do a lot of things. And one of the things they don't do is coffee. Well, Jay Nolan was actively involved with Organo Gold, which is a coffee company, and he wanted to open up a coffee MLM and called it Success by Health. And they started off with this really good coffee. I'm not that much of I'm a coffee drinker, but I'm not that kind of a coffee drinker as far as the healthy sort of stuff, but I understand it's really, really good. So having said that, because Jay Nolan was doing a coffee company, the Mormon guy said, well, we'll let you do it because we'll never do coffee. And one thing led to another, and you can just imagine how it gets kind of sloppy from here. Some of the people that were attracted to Jay Nolan, including Jody Bear, and the other people from that same company decided that they wanted to do anything that Jay was doing. He was such a dynamic personality. They just loved working with Jay Nolan. And they followed him over and started selling coffee. Well, one thing led to another. Jay's building his Success by Health business. Jody Bear wound up, really liking Jay. And they start doing these events. And these events are high-powered. They started charging people, I don't know the facts on this one, but a few $100, $300, $500, something like that. And Jay Nolan is really big on, he's tough. Like, if he were a personal trainer, he'd be kicking your ass. And he's a really hard-charged guy. And the reason why I know all these things, and people loved Jay Nolan's training, is because we do radio shows announcing them. I would talk to individual people. Some of their people would buy some advertising from us and some leads and some traffic and a whole bunch of other things as well, so I had personal conversation with them. Many people loved Jay Nolan. One of the guys that they took over, and I'm not going to mention his name just because I'm not going to mention his name, was a leading distributor. We did a radio show for him. Seemed like a really good guy. But here was the problem. This really good guy, this leading distributor, wound up, now, you never know what goes on in other people's minds, and I can't judge, so I don't know everything, but wound up basically sleeping with Jay Nolan's, and that's not cool. I mean, and Jay Nolan's a tough guy, so he's like, hey, dude.
I think he accidentally let something slip that he wasn't supposed to.
You can't be doing this. I mean, you're a married man, you got 3 kids, you cannot be doing this. And sometimes that person's wife would come to an event. It was very awkward. So there was a lot of going back and forth, and eventually this guy wouldn't stop. Jay Nolan fired this guy. So remember, he came over from the other company, brought his whole downline with him, was making a significant amount of money. This was what he was going to do. And then all of a sudden starts fooling around with Jay Nolan's secretary. By the way, none of this is, all of this, rather, is documented. I won't go through how it's been documented, but the bottom line, it's all been documented. And the reality is that on the way out the door, this individual, let's call him disgruntled.
This show, Losing Fortunes Radio, is just like gossip. It's just like Wendy Williams, but about me. It's like The View, except instead of 4 diverse women, it's just these 2 guys.
Disgruntled individual said, I know how to get you shut down, and the last thing you'll ever do is run this company. I will tear this company down. That's my paraphrasing his if you will.
Who?
As the door was kicking him on the way out. That's what he said. So he rallied some of his loyal following, and they wrote as many as 27 or more complaints to the FTC. So
they were attacked by the FTC. So let me guess. Basically, what Ming is saying here is that Jody Bear, great person, but there was some haters there was a hater that wanted to take it down, so they rallied a bunch of people to make complaints. Let's see what happens next.
Well, the FTC gets a barrage of complaints. Now, we don't know how many complaints it takes to trigger an FTC investigation. But I do know that 27 triggered this one. So I don't know how many it was for other companies, but it was 27. Plus, Jay Nolan has I don't know the right word. He had a previous runaround with the FTC where they basically said you can't do any pyramid schemes anymore. And I'll leave all of that. He was a repeat offender according to the FTC, and that's another whole story. But the bottom line was this person wound up coordinating the complaints to the FTC. That's what opened up the investigation. The attorney for Jay Nolan, 6 months prior, found out that they were doing they did a subpoena with the bank that he was with. They called, the FTC said, hey, hey, dude, what's up, kind of a thing. What you got going on? I mean, you're subpoenaing our records. If you got some issues, let's kind of bang this stuff out. That's the kind of people we are. FTC, of course, says, nope, not going to talk to you about it. Nope, just kind of continue your business. As they're doing that, they're getting ready to shut him down. Well, when he flew back to the U.S., because he moved overseas, his wife is from a foreign country. When he flew back to do an event, they wound up freezing his assets and 2 of his executive assets. I mean, freezing their assets. They could not get into any of their bank accounts. They couldn't buy food, nothing, period. Cold, hard close. So that's what happened. Here's a very interesting thing. This is how unscrupulous the FTC is, and I'll just say it. The FTC does a good job in certain areas, and when they want to be unscrupulous, they are awful. So even though Jay Nolan's company and their attorneys actually subpoenaed a lot of those people and found that a lot of those 27 complainers were actually kind of coerced into complaining and weren't really victims, but were forced by this disgruntled distributor to go do that. Well, this disgruntled distributor, and I still won't mention his name, but he happens to be from Kentucky, had a pending case against him for fraud and was just arrested right after the FTC, and the judge rather, found this whole thing in favor of the FTC. This guy was arrested for fraud, 6 counts of wire fraud, which carried 20 years maximum sentence each. He could be going away to jail. He won't go to jail for 120 years, but he'll probably go away to jail for 10, unless he can kind of figure this stuff out. But this guy was under an investigation, found to be guilty enough to be, basically arrested, and all of this is going on, and the judge suppresses this evidence. This guy who did all of these things against Jay Nolan is actually not even mentioned of. The FTC never produced any of the witnesses at the trial that they just had, and that's just the beginning of the story that happened with it using WhatsApp.
I like how this is yet another episode of them saying that they have a guest. It's literally in the title, and they just don't have a guest.
There's another thing, which is encrypted as well. And basically, out of context, I would probably do the same thing.
So what's
Matter
the
of
point?
fact, I think everyone should use encrypted phones against him and part of the big reason why this happened was because the Supreme Court, all of these other ways, just like a woman scorned, like a psycho fucking bitch, excuse the language, but like a psycho fucking bitch to try to do everything to make sure that they can still do things however they want to do things. And it's happening.
Okay, so Success by Health was just attacked. Got it.
It's happening not only to Success by Health, but other companies and people as well. So they're doing it with health claims, sending it to hundreds, if not thousands of companies. Income claims, now they're doing natural products. They got companies on notice for that. So the FTC found a better way to be able to shut companies and hurt people, and that's just flat out wrong. Now, I got to go full circle. When the FTC gets it right, they do a darn good job. When the FTC is in this mode, I have no idea why they do what they do, but they're sick, they're twisted, they're perverted. To talk like Donald Trump would talk about Nancy Pelosi or some of those other people, maybe like...
Jesus Christ. The FTC is sick and twisted and perverted when they get it wrong. So just like he says, I'm anti-MLM when it's done wrong, but he can't name one that does it right. And when the FTC comes after one of his homies, guess what? They're doing it wrong, and they're sick and they're twisted and they're perverted. Amazing.
Like the girl that just sued him for like $5 million. These people are sick. They are drunk on their own power, and they
FTC right and FTC done wrong, literally.
They pervert justice. They don't do the legal system the right way. So TINA.org helps. That's the Truth in Advertising. And a lot of you people, if you will, that are going to file your complaints, you can file complaints when they're valid, but when they're done maliciously, like this one distributor did them, then that's just flat out wrong. So I'll stick up for people that have been wronged, and a lot of people at Success by Health have been wronged. And now, what they're not taking into account, Scott, is just like with some of the stuff with Amway. There are some people that loved Jay Nolan's training. They would go back again and again and again. Many of them said it made a difference in their lives. They loved it. Whether you didn't like it or not is immaterial. That's what we call your opinion.
I sort of tuned out, but I'm not sure about the wire fraud thing. If he's saying the person who reported Jay Noland was convicted of wire fraud, and he was saying that, Peter was saying that to try to discredit that person, or if somebody in cahoots with Jay Noland was perpetrating the wire fraud. I'm not exactly sure, but regardless, man, it's just insanity.
I have to go. But a lot of people loved his stuff, and the government basically shut down the livelihood of Jay Noland because he can't do MLM anymore, and a whole bunch of other people as well in the acts that they did. And I can go on like...
Oh, poor Jay Noland. Poor Jay Noland. How could they do that? This is from 2 days ago, May 25th. Federal court finds James D. J. Noland, Jr., operator of Success by Health and Voz Travel, in contempt of court order barring pyramid schemes. So he was already ordered not to do pyramid schemes, and now he's, in trouble for doing one. Permanent multi-level marketing ban and $7.3 million judgment on him and other defendants. The federal court sided with the FTC. The FTC sued, and they won. The FTC sued Noland and his wife, Lena, and Scott Harris, and all these other people in connection with Success by Health in January 2020, and added charges related to Voz Travel in September. The FTC alleged that they operated the business as pyramid schemes, plural, making outlandish claims that the masses could be making more than $1 million each month by following Noland's system, when in fact very few consumers made any money. Wow, sounds like every single other MLM. Interesting. It's almost like, you guys, nothing happens to these companies. The FTC doesn't actually fucking do anything until the public pressure on them is strong enough that they have to do something. And even then, it's May of 2023, almost June, and we're talking about a January 2020 charge? More than 3 years it took them. Hey, FTC, what the fuck were y'all sitting around waiting for? He already had a court order barring him from operating a pyramid scheme, and it took you 3 years to figure out that this one was one? What the fuck? In its ruling, blah, 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 they found that they were using running pyramid schemes and making false promises of financial freedom. Every other MLM does this. In its ruling, the court cited the sheer volume of deceptive tactics and statements. Wow, interesting. Nonsense, laziness, performative justice, performative regulation. The FTC knows. The FTC knows the truth. The court also noted that Harris told an audience at one private Success by Health marketing event, "Is this one of those pyramid things? Hell yeah, it is. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing it. Do I look dumb enough to go get a job again?" In addition, the court ruled that the defendant's false claim about Noland's own wealth in selling the pyramid schemes were outrageous. Noland, for example, told Success by Health and Voz Travel members, quote, "I've been financially free, completely time and money free since I was 36, unquote. In fact, as the court found, at the age of 36, Noland was living or was about to start living off credit cards. Although Noland told SBH and Voz, Success by Health and Voz members he was a multimillionaire, the court explained that in his January 2020 sworn financial statement, Noland reported he had a negative net worth. Similarly, at a deposition in this case, Noland was unable to identify a time he ever had a positive net worth. So here we have Peter trying to Peter is bitching about the FTC in this case, calling them sick and twisted and whatever else, like a jealous fucking bitch, were his words, going after this company, this guy. Poor Jay Noland, they've taken away his livelihood. You're talking about somebody who ran multiple pyramid schemes and got away with it for far, far, far too long, who may just end up paying a settlement and never even see the inside of a jail cell. This is how delusional Peter is. Financially free is a mindset. That's true. But because the guy who reported him a fraud means Jay is right because the FTC believed him. Yeah. Insane. Madness. Is, quote, "the reality is," from Scott on the bingo card. If not, it should be. Yeah, that's a good idea. Beyond, I should click the form. Click at the bottom of the form here. You can click here to suggest entries for the spreadsheet at the bottom of the page. You can just type it in. The reality is, this is the worst episode ever. LOL. Peter would leave his wife for Jane Holland. Peter is going to dehydrate himself if he keeps ranting like this. Yep. Man, the FTC understaffed. The FTC is understaffed, but they are corrupt, in my opinion. The FTC only does performative acts of justice against MLM companies. Even in Herbalife, a case where Bill Ackman spent $50 million on a huge presentation and investigation on Herbalife, proving it was a pyramid scheme. The FTC ruled, and what was her name? Edith Ramirez, the chair of the FTC at that time, in her speech, you can find the video, it's even included in the John Oliver segment, she says, "We did not determine it not to be a pyramid scheme." Those were her words. It was not determined not to be a pyramid scheme. What does that mean? The FTC will go after a single MLM company and shut it down when the public demand is there, and it's useless. Because by the time that they shut it down and it's supposed to be a win, guess what? Nobody goes to jail, fines are paid, the victims are never made whole, the victims never get their time and money back. In some cases, their relationships are permanently damaged. And guess what? The top people from that company that got shut down, chances are they've already broken off and joined a new company or started their own company. Alex Morton with Vima, David Imonitier with IM. The list is an endless cycle. And for the FTC to actually declare a company that claims to operate just like Amway, a pyramid scheme, well, then that would force them to look at the grand scope of all MLM companies and apply the law to all of them. And it would be, without a doubt, the biggest legal battle probably, no, not probably. It'd be the biggest legal battle of our time, for sure, of the last 100 years, for sure. What year is it? 2023. It would be up there in terms of like rulings in the last 100 years, with like up there with civil rights movement, gay marriage legalization, marijuana legalization. Like, this is a hundreds of billions of dollars industry, MLM, and the biggest scam, the biggest cult in history. So I think to say it's significant would be an understatement. But the FTC doesn't do that. And will they do that? Who knows? I plan to keep putting pressure on them to do something about the wider issue. And, you know, if I'm invited to speak back at the conference next year, I plan to take a much more stern approach in my speech. I regret that I said at the end of my MLM conference speech in March, I regret ending it by saying this industry needs tighter regulation. I shouldn't have said that, because the truth is that's a lie. This industry is not an industry at all. There's nothing industrious going on here. They don't invent anything. They don't automate anything. They don't make anything more expedient or better or convenient for consumers. They scam people. It is a scam. It is not a business. It is not an industry. It is not a matter of needing regulation. It is a scam that needs to be made illegal, and it is a cult. That's it. So I will correct myself if I'm invited back next year.
Like this for a long time, but that gives some inside scoop. So for those idiots out there like Marco that are going to sit there and form all his opinions based on whatever, Stacey Bosley, who's the professor who testified, and
shout out to Stacey Bosley. She was at the conference too. It was great meeting her.
And they made her look stupid. But for people like that and people like William, for those idiots out there like Marco that are going to sit there and form all his opinions based on whatever, Stacey Bosley, who's the professor who testified, and they made her look stupid. But for people like that and people like William Keep,
they made her look stupid. LL. Oh yeah, talk about Bill. What do you have to say about Bill?
Who don't know how to do real arguments when it comes to these types of issues. And I don't know what Doug Brooks would say about success by health, so I'll leave Doug Brooks out of it. But I've heard these people talk. I've heard William Keep talk about it. I've heard Stacey Bosley talk about it at the MLM conference. These people are incompetent academic fools. So back.
Yeah, you're the authority, right, Peter? Let's go ahead. If you search, by the way, if you search Stacy Bosley on YouTube, you'll find this video called How to Spot a Pyramid Scheme. 5.6 million views. It's called How to Spot a Pyramid Scheme, Stacy Bosley. It's from TED Ed. I mean, dude. You guys have probably seen this if you're watching this content, if you're watching MLM content. One of the most successful, biggest, important videos about MLM ever. 5.6 million views? I mean, how much does the James Jani MLM video have? The James Jani MLM cults video has 2.9 million views, and it's 30 minutes. Stacy Bosley has a concise 5-minute video that explains it and has almost 5.6 million views. So, but yeah, you know what? She's an incompetent academic, according to Peter, and she shouldn't be trusted. And Bill Keep, marketing professor, University of New Jersey, doesn't know what he's talking about. And, you know, the guy who organized the MLM conference for the past 3 years, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Amazing.
To you, Scott.
Yeah.
Beyond, you're correct. Yeah, great points, Peter.
Yeah, and you know, your pyramid example that Jay Nolan talked about reminds me of mine.
Beyond is correct. He says, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the FTC has been gutted by corporate lobbying to the point of being useless for anything. This is true, unfortunately. Democrat, conservative, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. The money has flown into the hands of Congress people who act not on what's good for the people, but what is in their interest. And the word interest in this case means what makes them money. MLM spends an exorbitant amount of money lobbying Congress people and lawmakers to side with them. And it is the Congress people that are controlling the government who decide the direction of the FTC and the budget of the FTC, and unfortunately, it's just, yeah, it is just blatant corruption.
My former Flying Diamond, a guy by the name of Bruce Anderson, and when he was still working, you know, people would give him a hard time at work. Oh, you're still building that pyramid, huh? And eventually he got to the point where he was making pretty good money, and he was about to quit his job and do Amway full time. And his response at that point was, "Yep, and I'm the Pharaoh." So a lot of things are said in jest. Now, he actually was on top of his own little pyramid because, again, there was a lack of retail sales. But there's a lot of things that are said in jest, you know, in a comic relief type environment and with that intent that really should not be taken into court and used as part of the process.
Hold on. Dave Vaughn commented and said, Edith, former FTC chair, now works at the same office the DSA lead counsel works at. So that ain't great. Hogan and Lavelles. Wow. Sad. Lobbying is a bitch. It's treason to go against the people of your own country because of pyramid scheme money. Hey DSA, offer me some fucking money. Yeah, and I went to the DSA's lobbying headquarters on K Street back in March when I was in DC, and they wouldn't let me inside, of course. Yeah, the industry does not exist. You cannot regulate corruption. Exactly. Bars. That's actually a fucking bar. I'm going to give you this for that.
Bars.
Unread, yeah. Bill Keep on the bingo. Oh, nice. Unread is so legendary. They're leaving Doug out of it because he's a lawyer who could sue my ass off. Yeah. Why is Peter's voice so high for a tough New York guy, you know? Stacy doesn't even know who slept with whom. Peter Mingles, yeah. Yeah. She's not Alex Jones. She's an academic idiot, Marco. Yeah. To trust a talking head over an academic. Peter isn't even a talking head. He's just a voice. He doesn't even show his face. Bug says, Marco, what would you say is the most competent, well broken down video explanation of MLM for the average outsider looking in? That Stacy Bosley one is up there. The James Jani one is up there. That one focuses more on it being a cult element. The John Oliver piece is really good. I think that's the most viewed one, the John Oliver MLM video. That one has 34 million views on the English version and another 5.4 on the Spanish version. Oh, wow, Ray Higdon has a video reacting to it. Oh, we're watching that on another episode. The truth Multi-level marketing last week tonight with John Oliver. The truth exposed 1.8K views. Fucking loser. All right, let's keep going.
Execution. It's just, it's inappropriate to try to use something like that and misuse something like that.
By the way, I do have a video. I have a video that I'm working on called "What is a Pyramid Scheme?" And in it, I go into the explanation of the difference between Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, and MLM. And throughout this video, because people still get these terms wrong, many people still think, and this is because of the misinformation and disinformation campaigns made by the MLM industry, many people still wrongly believe MLM means there's a product and pyramid scheme is just there's no product. This is not true. This is not the case. So I'm going to have a short, concise video explaining this. The fact that Peter and Scott think they're so much smarter than everyone else is what pisses me off the most. I think it's funny. It's like, who are these guys? They have this shitty little radio show. No one listens to it. Nobody responds to them. The professors reply unread to their emails. Everybody that I talked to at the conference who had got that, spam email from Scott about me, everyone was like, this guy's crazy, and they deleted it. Nobody listens to these guys. MLM conference, when you're a child and you don't get invited to the birthday party, so everyone who went is lame and the loo bags were trash and you totally don't feel left out. Exactly. Yeah. I'll turn villain for a bag. Same. LOL, even Stevens. Peter sounds like he has his microphone hanging 1 foot above his head, and he has to strain and jump up like a little dog to bark into it. Always stupid Marco. Marco.gay. My voice wasn't high enough. Dave Vaughn says the FTC needs one of three things. 1, new laws to distinguish MLMs from ordinary businesses. That would make the whole thing collapse, and they'd be in big poodoo. 2, proper case law. That'd be tough, because again, it would apply to all the MLMs, and that would put them in big trouble. 3, a clear academic definition test for MLM fraud, according to FTC staff. And once again, we come to the same conclusion. Yeah. Dunning and Kruger here.
You have to get down to the facts. Now, my understanding from the ruling, and yes, Marco, I did read all 131 pages, including the footnotes, is that the FTC, their position by their data analysis was about 5% of the products were actually retailed. So that's not anywhere near 50%. And I don't think there was any pushback from the defense. So it seems like Success by Health was a pyramid because of the very low retail sales figure, but we really don't have the whole picture. We don't have all of the exhibits in the trial and all the testimony. All we have really is the judge's conclusions. And he did say that when Stacey Bosley was being cross-examined, they really weakened her testimony, although he did find that there was some value in her testimony. But apparently the defense really poked some holes in her quote-unquote logic. And I wish I could have been there. I would love to see that transcript to read exactly what she testified, what the cross-examination was like, how she responded to the cross-examination questions. I think that would be a hoot to read sometime, and that probably will be available.
Mary, you're so late. Shame, shame. The cult. Shame me, please. Oh, she has a shame kink. Okay. Well, Mary, forgiveness can be achieved. Stream in the chat. All right. AlwaysMarcoMerch.com.
That transcript sometime in the future, maybe in a month or 2 or 3, we can actually see.
Oh, by the way, Mary, this image you're looking at is Scott Johnson. Yeah, surprise.
The types of corners she was pinned into and how she had to admit, just like she admitted on the MLM conference, how weak her quote-unquote experiments are when she, brings in random people and asks them various questions about MLM. Even she admits that it's a very artificial environment and you really can't draw too many conclusions from it. And I agree. I think that sort of academic environment just doesn't give you much information. It's much better to look at the real people and the real data versus some theoretical academia, make it up type analysis, quote unquote analysis. It just, to me, it's actually counterproductive to bring in something like that and just pretend that it means anything. It's
Yep, beyond. Right now, Scott is panickedly explaining to his wife what he's been doing in his garage this whole time.
Pretty crazy.
Well, because of my relationship with the people at that company, I'm going to make sure that we...
And by the way, Mary, she says not quite the ruddy alcohol cheeks that I was expecting. This picture has been enhanced with AI to like put it more in focus and smooth out his features. So you can really tell if you look at his neck here, like the tie, this has been very, very smoothed out. So this is like extra flattering, by the way.
You know, they're all afraid. Here's the really messed up thing. Everybody's afraid to say anything because it might mess up their appeal. So everybody's being quiet, and no one's really talking about this stuff publicly that they should be talking about, because everybody. This is the bad part about our legal system. They've convinced the other side that if they talk about stuff, then they might ruin their chance for an appeal. Well, the books are cooked. These things are already set in stone. If the FTC is going after you, the FTC is going after you. They're going to win. They have more resources. They'll corrupt the whole entire process like they always do. They'll find, they'll find the right judge. They'll corrupt the whole entire thing. So I'm going to do whatever I can. All of their...
Really, the FTC is the corrupt one, rigging the cases and... Goodness gracious, man. To be so in the sunken place.
They're holding up, they're not speaking about this is over. I'll have them on Building Fortunes Radio, and they will give you the inside baseball of all of the things.
Inside baseball, what made it up? What does it mean? Yeah, the FTC is just clamoring to be on Building Fortunes Radio. Peter, you're such a gracious king.
The things that happened. And when you hear the other side of the story, you'll really question whether this FTC, this unelected, remember, the FTC is an unelected panel of people. You didn't vote for them. I didn't vote for them. They were elected. You can't get rid of them. Some of them are just weird, twisted, sick people. And the reality is they're power-hungry people, and they like Marco, right? Because Marco's an idiot. So if they like Marco, they're probably weird and twisted and whatever. But if you go through it and you see actually the other side of this, you'll really wonder how corrupt the U.S. government really is, at least the FTC. So back to you, Scott.
Yeah, and we're not talking next week. This is probably going to take at least, my guesstimate would be 3 to 5 years for that appeal to go through. 3 to 5 plus. So, don't hold your breath waiting for that to happen, because it just takes time. That's how these appeals work. There was a I think $7 million fine. So there's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of incentive to appeal for a couple reasons. One is you're delaying having to pay that money, and secondly, if you can convince the higher.
Yeah, good luck getting invited to the conference next year when I have this clip now of you guys saying they're sick and twisted and perverted.
The court that they went overboard, then at the very least you would be paying less. It could even be overturned. It depends on the judge that gets the appeal and all of the testimony and evidence that comes into the retrial, basically. So, yeah, but it's not going to happen anytime soon, that's for sure. Was there anything more you want to talk about on that topic?
Not on Success by Health, no.
Yeah, and I should just point out real quick that the FTC actually essentially shut down Success by Health prior to that 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, or else if it happened today, they probably could not have done that. They could have gotten an injunction, but that would have been the extent of it. They couldn't have frozen assets. They couldn't have shut it down. None of those things were within their grasp after the 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, which is the way it should be. Because we have a process in this country we're supposed to where you can defend yourself. And if they just come in and shut you down and take away all your money, how are you going to move forward? How are you going to defend yourself? How are you going to pay your lawyer?
LOL, Silicon Valley says it's what's inside the balls themselves.
Balls?
So true. P is in the balls, says Mary, or that's what science has told us. So true, so true.
There's to put together a good case. How are you going to continue your business to bring in the income for both you and your distributors? It makes no sense. It's really guilty until proven innocent is the way that type of a system works. And that's why there was a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court told the FTC, literally for the past 40 years, you've been misusing the law. You've been using it for things it was never written to do. This is the first time somebody pushed back, and it wasn't even an MLM. It was another company. And the guy was actually in prison at the time. He was clearly guilty. But he's the one that appealed that the FTC really doesn't have this power, and the Supreme Court agreed. And so it's a whole different landscape. Like you said, they're using other parts of the law to make these threats and to file lawsuits and go beyond just filing a restraining order. Now those things are available to the FTC. There's other sections and so forth that are in place, but those other vehicles allow the other side to put in their side of the story before they get shut down. And that was always the intent anyway. That's what we're supposed to have in this country, not misusing the Constitution, but actually using it as far as it can go and not beyond it. And that's what the FTC did clearly for 40 years. They took advantage of that situation for literally 4 decades. And it's just wrong. And they really should apologize. They won't.
LOL, you guys acting like the FTC is the one getting away with something. It's the pyramid schemes that have been around for decades that have been getting away with it.
But they really should. They really should say, hey, we screwed up. We're going to use other sections which allow people to be involved in the process before they're just shut down. But they've never done that. They've never shown any remorse, any contrition of any sort. Just like Marco has never showed any, apology or contrition or remorse over the fact that he was a cocaine dealer that ruined people's lives. Literally, may have even killed people. If they overdosed on the cocaine he was selling them.
Oh, now I've maybe killed people. Wow.
But it's the same thing in my book. They're both just scumbags, and they don't care. That's just, that's how narco is similar to the FTC, in my opinion. But they do some good things too, and Marco does some good things too.
Whoa, Marco does some good things too? I gotta hear that again. That felt good.
And just as an example,
scumbag.
So what do I do that's good? Say something nice, Scott. On the next episode, say something I do good. Finding your picture, I did that good.
Bags, and they don't care. That's just, that's how narco is similar to the FTC, in my opinion. But they do some good things too, and Marco does some good things too.
Wow.
And just as an example, the reason why we don't interview Marco on this radio show is because he has no credibility. So it's the same thing that the FTC should have done. They found out that this distributor was having an active case against him, being investigated for fraud, and they allow him to be the person that is the one that takes down Success by Health. That's wrong. And they knew it. I mean, they knew it because it was an active investigation. All of this stuff happened in 2018 and 2019. They should have known about these things. And the idea that that's where you hang your credibility, FTC, that's crazy. That's crazy. So no credibility at all. They knew it. They didn't introduce this. I'm sure the judge knew it. I don't think it was a jury trial. I think it was just the judge. The judge knew it, didn't take that into account. It's all kangaroo corrupt court. Bottom line, it's all flat out wrong. And like I said, the people will get a chance to speak about this sort of stuff. I'll get them to start to talk about it sooner than that, 3 to 5 years, I hope. But they raised well over $1 million for a legal defense fund. Now, who does that? The distributors raised well over $1 million for the defense and supporting the people that had their livelihood taken away for a company that never did more than $7.5 million in business, period. It's just totally out of whack and just totally exemplifies how the government will be able to outspend you. And that's the problem. And it's just like Marco is going to experience. Primerica is going to be able to outspend Marco Mukaber living in his one-bedroom apartment begging for his goons to be able to throw a couple of bucks in his general direction so he can go to a concert or a movie or maybe get a video editor. The government or the other company will outspend you, Marco, and you're done. So we're witnessing the legal systems.
Well, Ming, I already survived it once. I'm still here, still chilling, channel's still growing. And if that happens, you'll be equally disappointed to know that I actually won't be spending anything if I go to court.
What?
And the reason I won't be spending anything, well, you'll just see when it happens, I guess. You'll just see when it happens.
Play. Sometimes it works, in things that I would be, we basically say this is bad, but in Marco's case, this is good. They're going to outspend you. They'll put you out of business. They'll have a judgment against you. They'll ruin your reputation. You'll spend 3 to 5 years of your life, and everybody will know because they're going to be able to talk how bad you actually are. So back to you, Scott.
And where are they going to get all that information on how bad Marco really is?
I think right here.
That reminds me of another thing that Narco likes to talk about lately on his show is he makes the point that we don't want him on this show, which is true, but then you invited him into a room, a private room, and he can't consolidate those things in his brain. He can't understand why he can't come on the show, but you want to have him in a private room, just you and him, no windows, no camera, no sound. Well, let me give you a clue, Marco. Peter does not intend to talk to you in that little private room. Marco said in one of his recent videos he'd like to grab us both by the neck and pick us up off the ground or something?
I know what Peter wants to do with me in that room.
Winky. Your little mini inch Winky.
And it has something to do with...
Balls.
Something like that. Narco, you couldn't even reach my neck. So don't even think about it, Narco. You're this little short, skinny, pudgy guy, and you think you're going to grab my neck? You're crazy. And you're even crazier thinking that you could grab Peter's neck. You know, the guy played football both sides of the line. That is highly unusual. And then he wrestled on the off season. And you think you're going to grab Peter by the neck?
Dude, this is literally Brokeback Radio right now. This is literally Brokeback Fortunes Radio right now. Now I love, and this picture, he has his arm around his neck. I like now that he's coming to Peter's defense instead of them just taking turns bigging up themselves. I love this.
You are nuts. But
we will play a little sound effect, because this is what Marco's going to do. As soon as the door closes and he realizes there's no way out, you're going to tinkle on the floor, Marco. You're going to tinkle on the floor. So back to you, Scott.
Tinkle.
That's got to be my favorite recording. So I guess we have a few more minutes, Peter. I mean, we could talk about narco all night, but you know what we haven't talked about in a while is behindmlm.com. That's where we get a lot of our stories, and people think all we talk about is narco, and we have been recently because there's a lot to talk about as far as how stupid he is. And by the way, I just want to make the point again.
Yeah, literally, who's calling who pudgy? Literally, this picture is from more than 10 years ago of Peter, and this is of Scott a couple years ago. Who's calling who pudgy, bro? What are you talking about? I'm going in. What are y'all saying? I've been going in recently. Wake up.
We do pick on Narco because he deserves it, but he also is basically just reflecting what most of the other anti-MLM Huns are saying. So when we're talking about all these different issues that he talks about and how stupid he is when it comes to MLM and other things like air conditioners, the other anti-MLM Huns are saying the same thing, and he's just basically an internet reflector. You know, all he does is says the same things that he hears from all the other Huns, all the other anti-MLM Huns, and he's got no new ideas. You know, he's just it's that what they call internet echo chamber, right? It just goes back and forth, and then when some people hear it often enough, they think it's true, even though it's not. But you know, again, his followers are stupid, and so it's easy for them to believe someone who is stupid like Narco. It just goes with the whole territory. But there's a few stories here that we have not covered because of the attention.
Oh, so many good comments. Mary says, I'm a bit of a muscle mommy. I welcome them into the ring with me, but the humiliation might get them off. They seem to love negative attention. Oh, they'd love that. You'd choke Peter. He'd be like, harder. You'd be like, what? He'd be like, nothing, what? Lately, Rebecca says, them. Lately, we've been talking about him a lot. Lately, meaning within the past 3 years. Actually, my boyfriend played high school football 30 years ago, so you better watch it, mister. Literally. Peter played football. Peter played football 80 years ago, as Even Stevens eloquently puts. Insane. Marco can bench press me, so they need to watch it. Yeah, no kidding. True. Mary, are you really a muscle mommy? That's amazing.
On Narco recently that I think are worth going over. If you think we have a few minutes to do that, unless you had another topic.
Oh, good. They're going to go after some other Huns. Let's check it out.
So if you go to behindmlm.com, and we go over these stories quite frequently, as well as having guests on. So it's just been a great situation here. The one that I see first, because the top of the list, the most recent date, it's dated May 27th today, 2023. And the headline is Richard Mackey's appeal dismissed. And I'm not sure what the rest of this means. Devorin and Sin updates. I guess that's some other companies or something. But anyway, this guy was sentenced.
I think those are two other people that are also going on trial.
Okay. Well, he actually lost his trial.
Lamau, Peter played football when they still wore those little leather hats instead of helmets.
Trial. He filed an appeal, and that was dismissed. So now I think the last thing that's left is they're going to have to decide how much money he owes, and that's probably months down the road. That's normally how long these things take. So again, it's not next week. So, but his appeal was dismissed, and now he's going to prison, and paying an unknown amount of money, probably in the millions would be my guess. Whether he can actually pay it or not, don't know. If he cannot pay it, typically what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you can't, this is what happened to OJ, right? OJ Simpson. He didn't have all the money to pay the civil lawsuit. And so what they did was they basically garnished future earnings, which is the same thing they can do to narco. You know, yeah, we know you don't have any money, narco, but that doesn't mean they can't dip into your pockets in the future. Now, I don't know how Canada works. He's in Canada, so it could be different there, but that's how it works here. Any comments on that one, Peter?
Nope. No. He, this Richard Making guy, was able to drag out this whole thing because of COVID. So this is a long time coming, and he got 10 years, and I don't remember what the dollar amount was, but there were some other people that were also either pled guilty or found guilty, and just another example of way back then they were just basically, you know, selling something that wasn't real. So it started off with, I believe it started off with music and kind of evolved into a whole bunch of other things and then became just basically a money game with a product as an excuse for their money game and just got nailed.
Yeah, the company that this guy apparently was involved in is called Infinity 2 Global. The 2 is above the word, so I guess it's Infinity Squared Global. I know that's higher math for narco. He probably doesn't understand squares, but what happens when you're stupid? Let's see. So, by the way, there's lots of stories on this website, behindmlm.com, that we do not cover. Many of them are Ponzi's, crypto, that whole genre, and there's a lot of stories here. And if you're interested in a particular company name or just reading about various companies, you can do that. You can do a search for a company name or a person's name and, you know, see anything that's been written about that particular topic. The next one down that I think is worth pointing out is May 25th, 2023. The headline is Generation Zoe lawyer Gustavo Savrida pleads guilty. So there you go. I think that's in Argentina where that trial is going on. So they have a guilty plea. Now, if you're the lawyer for a company and you plead guilty, you probably know lots of inside information that's going to, you know, be able to be used to entrap other key figures. In fact, they probably weren't really even going for this lawyer. They were just trying to flip him and give him a deal to turn in the real people at the very, very top. So it'll be interesting to see how this progresses too. Any comments on that one?
Nope. One little thing that I want to mention before we run out of time. I think I read somewhere, it was on Behind MLM, and it might be an older one, that iMarkets Live is kind of probably on the radar. So that's the one with Chris Terry and the gentleman Alex Morton. And we basically have said with Alex, he was the gentleman from VEMA who was part of the YPR, the Young People Revolution, and put up by B.K. Barreco, basically. And he was like the poster child. He thought he was basically better than he really is. But he was out there promoting, ran to Jeunesse for a little bit, then ran over to, I think they called it I Am Academy, and now it's iMarkets Live. They changed the name a couple of times. Well, it looks as if, you know, the rope that he was given is probably going to come hang him. Because it looks like they're coming after iMarkets Live. So this is only in the investigation stage, but he's one of the promoters, and I would not be surprised if his name is a headline sometime in the very near future. So back to you, Scott. That's Alex Morton, by the way.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if his name was in the headlines, because that guy is just a connoisseur scam artist from way back.
We called it. He was a young kid who was home. He was a young kid.
We agree on that, Scott.
Who probably has, you know, is a dynamic, charismatic person, you know, good-looking young kid. But he was basically somebody homegrown by this industry with the bullshit of this industry, brought along by people in this industry, and then he thought he could do it and never really learned this industry and believed his own bullshit. And I think eventually in his early 30s he's probably going to pay a pretty heavy price.
Yeah, I really hope it does catch up with him because it's way overdue. He was not nailed in FEMA, and he really should have been, because he was really the leader of that Young People's Revolution thing that brought a lot of college kids in that diverted their tuition money into VEMA, and then they lost it all, of course. So, yeah, he did a lot of damage to a lot of people. You know, he changed a lot of people's lives for the worse, and he really needs to pay big time for that, no doubt. Let's see. So here's another headline from May 24th, 2023, and it's from South Africa, which is interesting because, you know, I looked at a couple of videos from this guy. I can't remember his name now, but he made some videos that Marco mentioned.
He's talking about Richard Sletcher, who we reacted to last night. We saw Scott commenting on some of his YouTube videos.
About how to put an MLM together. It's like MLMs for CEOs or something like that is the name of the YouTube channel. And it was really funny because when Narco was playing some of his videos and making all of the wrong comments, you know, as far as what this guy was saying, he came really close, Narco did. He came really close going into the part where this guy talks about retail sales, but then he skipped over it. And he kept complaining about retail sales, but he never listened to the guy saying, well, you should have a 30-70 split on your retail sales. In other words, the distributor should have 30% of the consumption and the customer should have 70% of the consumption. And that's actually
The business should be 100% retail sales, no? If that's what it's really about.
A bit of a misnomer, because the 70-30 is intended to be the inventory rule, not the retail sales rule. But that gets mistaken very commonly. People assume that there's a 30-70 split, but that's never been forth in court or in a settlement, to my knowledge, by the FTC. It's always been the 50-50 minimum, not 70-30. And so, again, he did talk about retail sales. He did talk about how important it is to have them. Now, he had the wrong reason for why retail sales are important, but he did say retail sales are important, but Narco skipped right over it because he's so stupid. The guy is just dumb. And Narco, you ought to go back and go back to that pyramid diagram, and it's right near the top of the pyramid, Narco. It's the 70-30 part on the pyramid. Go ahead and play that and listen to it, and you'll see that retail sales are addressed by that guy. He's just so stupid. Anyway, I'll move on. So this is South Africa story. The headline is MTI's top net winners summoned to pay back about $242 million. So this company is Mirror Trading International. That's MTI. And apparently the South African government is pretty serious here, asking people that are net winners in this thing to pay back, almost a $250 million. Pretty significant money. We don't know where they are, if they even have it, or any of those kinds of things, I don't think. But anyway, South Africa seems to be pretty serious against this company. Did you have any other comments on that one?
Nope, you're good.
Yep. So there's another interesting one here. Another May 24th, 2023. Headline is Beachbody Class Action Asserts Bodhi Coaches Are Employees. So this is kind of related to a California law, which has strengthened the legal basis for saying that MLM distributors are really employees and they should be treated as employees. Things like hourly wages, benefits, vacation, those are the kinds of things that employees are entitled to as opposed to an independent contractor, which is how most MLMs operate, all that I know of. And so this will be real interesting to see how far it goes. California is the land of fruits and nuts, and maybe they'll go ahead and continue this lawsuit with that in mind, because there have been some laws in California strengthening that position. So, whether it makes the cut or not, that's months, maybe a year or two out, but at least it's gotten started, and we'll see what happens there. Any comments on that one, Peter? I want to go to the next one because you mentioned it.
Sure. Hold on one second on that. I don't know the details of the reasons why they're being considered employees or asking to be considered employees, but more than less likely, they probably had a whole bunch of rules and regulations for these people that were coaches. So there was you got to be here at this time, or you have to be doing these things at this time. They're dictating their schedules and their activities as if they were employees. That's different from the typical person who joins an MLM. So that's the difference. So that's probably why they have this class action suit as employees. So a lot of people also don't realize that Beachbody does a boatload of advertising on the radio. They do a ton of advertising on the radio, and they probably use those leads that are generated from the radio to be able to help funnel the coaches for Beachbody. So there's probably a lot more to the story than we know, and maybe we'll dig into it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, Beachbody in trouble, too. We love that, don't we? By the way, y'all, can I just say this? Because I never plug this, and I always forget to plug it, and I feel like an idiot because I forget. I know it's in the bottom right of the screen or whatever, but are y'all not following me on Instagram? Because TBH, that's where I be posting the most shit. That's where I be posting, stories and updates and whatever else. And I also try to reply to every message that I get on Instagram. It do be hard sometimes, but what's up? Just something to think about. Something to think about. Always mark on every social media platform.
But it's not like all MLM people should be treated like employees, for those people that might be drawing those comparisons. So back to you, Scott.
Yeah, I'm kind of reading the article as you're talking. It does say that the lawsuit at least claims that they do have a lot of the term that they use in the lawsuit apparently is significant control. So what that means, I don't know exactly, and certainly we can dig into this and see what is in that actual lawsuit, what they're claiming. But you're right. That's one of those things that makes some company go from being able to designate somebody as an independent contractor to an employee when they have certain control over them. So we'll just have to see how this shakes out. So this is the one you mentioned earlier, Peter, for people to look at. May 23rd, 2023. Headline is FTC seeking info from IM Mastery Academy's Matthew Thayer. So I think this is probably a high-level distributor. Haven't read the article yet. Yeah, when they go public like this, there's something serious going on. This is not just a little rumor. And by the way, this is the company that sued Marco a couple of years ago. And I think this lawsuit is still open, even though Narco predicted it would be closed. I think it's been almost a year now where he predicted it would be closed really soon. And it's still open, to my knowledge, against IM Academy. So I guess Narco can claim credit for the FTC going after this company. I'm sure he will. I do. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So I guess we should probably wrap it up here.
I do. By the way, I do actually. You guys might be familiar with Matty Pips. I featured him on my Instagram several times. Matthew Thayer. He goes by Matty Pips, and the FTC released this 4 days ago. It says, from Lena M. Khan, chair of the FTC, to Matty Pips, Matthew Thayer, who has since left the company. Order extending time limit for issuing final order. In order to give full consideration to the issues presented by the petition to quash and or limit civil investigative demand to Matthew Thayer, the commission has determined, pursuant to blah, 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 to extend the time limit for issuing a final order. Basically, what it means is that civil investigation demand, they are demanding information from him because and the title of this document is IM Mastery Academy Commission Order to Extend Time for Ruling. So shout out Matty Pips. That cash trap really hit. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say too much but more than 2 years in the making. Soon you'll see.
Peter, it's pretty much time, and I'll let you close it out, and we'll do this again. I guess we got Glenn again Monday night.
Not this Monday because it's Memorial Day.
That's right, not this week. Yeah, not this week. Yeah, we're going to take a week off because of Memorial Day. So have a good Memorial Day. Remember those people that have fallen defending this country. That's what it's for. And they gave the ultimate price, is their lives, just to defend our freedoms as we have them. And that makes you even more upset when the government oversteps its boundaries, right? So they defended that, and there's no defense of that. That kind of behavior of overreaching the laws, it just is disgusting when the government agencies do that. So I'll let that be my last statement tonight. Go ahead, Peter.
Here we go. Perfect. Well, for all
Cash Cartier is no longer in the company either, and I've actually got several women reach out to me, including his ex-girlfriend, with some really, really disturbing screenshots of messages and like stories. Yeah, really, really, really concerning stuff. And I haven't talked about it publicly yet, but I might do that. I might do a stream about that.
All those people have safe travels if you're doing some traveling, and enjoy your weekend. We're going to catch everybody next week on Building Fortunes Radio. Scott, why don't you give out your website for those people that want to hear it one more time?
Yeah, if you go to facebook.com/ScottText.
Yeah, they defended the attacking FTC, yeah. That diatribe about freedom was rich, always.
Johnson, SCOTTTEXJOHNSON, one word there. And what you'll find is links to my 3 websites, the link to this radio show, and all almost 8 years now of weekly shows, as well as my YouTube and my email, which is stoptheamwaytoolscam@yahoo.com. And all you Marco goons that say you want to be on my show, email me. We'll bring you on. No problem. No problem at all.
Do it.
So have a good day, Peter.
Don't do it.
Absolutely. So everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Building.
Damn, first time I think I've heard him say, have a good day, Peter. Love that. Well, we did a lot on this stream. We discovered the identity of Scott finally, and we have pictures that we can swap between while they're talking. Makes it a little bit more immersive. I like it. And wow. And we had like over 200 people watching the entire stream, which is amazing. I hope that I'm so eager to hear what Scott says on the next show. I'm sure he'll just deny that the picture is him, but I know it's him. I'm so confident it's him. Anywho, follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting more on there. I have a bunch of clips from both the Doug Brooks interview, which if you haven't watched that yet, please go watch that on my page. It's an hour long, perfect thing to just have playing in the background while you're working on other stuff. But it's also beautifully, beautifully shot, beautifully recorded. So if you want to watch it too and more intently, that's great. But it's definitely like easy listening material that you could just digest, while folding laundry or cooking or cleaning or doing whatever you do at home. So, or driving, whatever. Yeah. And join the Discord. Free to join, of course. And that's where we be hanging out 24/7. All the goons, all the GIFs, all the memes. I'm going to be adding more memes and stuff. Sorry, more emojis and stuff to the YouTube chat as well. So yeah, amazing. Love it. Thank you, Scott, for revealing your wife's name so that we could find you. I fully expected them to be like, we'll be celebrating Memorial Day and remembering those who died for our country, which makes it even worse when stupid narco is so dumb. Yeah, no kidding, Joey K. We'll bring you on. You're all stupid, but we'll bring you on. Scott could only dream of being able to buy my attention as a guest on his show. No shit. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, they should pay their guests, but they don't pay. They like money in, not money out. Well, Peter does, even though he hired and fired himself 3 times. And Scott, he just likes to spend. So Scott, you might get him to send you money because he likes losing $500,000 in Amway. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Appreciate it. I hate ending the stream when there's still so many people watching, but hey, leave them wanting more. Am I right? So Wednesday, I'll be back, and yeah, I'm working on the big one as we speak, and it's shaping up finally, and it's the best one ever. So,
Marco.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, you stupid fucking asshole.
Let's go.
Do you like me?
Oh, we need an Obama?
Obama.
Appreciate y'all. Don't do drugs. I will know if you did, and I'm watching. Silica, you're killing me. What'd you say? Scott Johnston, the embodiment of a sticky fidget spinner covered in lint. So funny. Silica Valley's comments always kill me. Mars, get used to it. Silica Valley's the throat goat when it comes to those comments. The big one, a.k.a. Venti. Yeah. All right. Peace out, y'all. Discord, pull up. Peace.